We're gonna dive in. Game number 1. I'm ready to go. Here, LoueMT playing as the Ottomans in the color green. His opponent is going to be 3DB for this series, playing as the color orange, and as the Byzantines spawning in on the eastern side of the map. And Crackedy, we talked about Cliffside just a little bit as we see LoueMT gathering that stone. We talked about Cliffside just a little bit, and just because of how close they spawn together, you got to think that's a little bit favorable for the Ottomans, because if he goes for that military school opening, he could send the Spearmen over there lickety-split if he wanted to get super aggressive with it.
Yeah, the Spearman opening definitely, it's a little bit weird with the timing that the Ottoman aggression comes in. The Ottoman aggression isn't really as instant if they go for that military academy, military school, compared to if they just open up with a blacksmith immediately. Going with the military school, it allows you to like have these couple of spearmen out really early, and something that we actually did see a couple of times from Ottomans so far in the tournament. I think with LoueMT as well, especially, was that they actually don't use the spearmen at the beginning to like be aggressive towards their opponent. Instead, what they do is they use the spearmen in order to lure in the deer, like through great distances. And Louis could potentially do that instead of like going aggressive with the early couple of spearmen, which for one, the timing at which they come out, it's not going to be enough in order to deny you feudal age, so the spearmen tend to be a little bit useless at that point in time. Instead, you can just use them and like go for a really, really long distance deer lure. Like if we take a look at Louis' base right now, he's got the deer behind his base, and he could potentially lure these deer all the way over to his TC if he uses a spearman for it. Can we actually take a look, like just select the military school and see if Louis already has like a waypointer going to it? It looks like it's actually going over to the base of B, so maybe he is going to go for the aggression. Yeah, it's going right over to that gold mine. Could also be looking to just lane the deer, like having them all like split apart from each other, making them very, very hard to be gathered from.
Man, talk about setting the tone, huh? Bringing that spearman all the way across the map. And, you know, because like you said, I have seen that, you know, with the Ottomans, especially with that deer being in the back. He probably won't have 3DB's scout, or if he makes some kind of feudal units or something like that, kind of get in the way for him. And I was kind of expecting that, to be honest, because he's got that gold all the way in the back, you know, on the eastern side. So it's going to be a little bit tricky for him to wrap all the way around, and then he's going to be behind, you know, if he wants to reinforce with other spearmen. But we're at about 3 minutes into the game. Grand Winery is about halfway built. I'm thinking that winery target, if I could, you know, foreshadow a little bit where the winery is, where those berries are, that could just have a bullseye for Louis just because of how close it is.
Yeah, that's like the main resource that you want to deny from the Byzantines very early on, those berries with the Grand Winery. If you leave them untouched, like the Grand Winery increases the amount of olive oil that you get from the first berry patch by like a tremendous amount. Basically, you get like one additional mercenary group out for free that you would usually be able to get. Spearman right now harassing on the villagers here from B. It looks like he still just wants to gather up a little bit more gold. Needs to be careful though. Villagers are now getting pulled back. Does have enough gold for a potential wheelbarrow upgrade. But I think he wants to get a little bit more to be able to have the option of upgrading his LoueMT to hard LoueMT. He's going to have to stop short, just shy of that, though. I think it's 35 gold that it costs, so B is going to need at least 8 more gold if he wants to be able to get both wheelbarrow and upgrade his LoueMT.
Yeah, that's interesting too, especially having the hardened LoueMT, right? The feudal age LoueMT. You're going to need that against an Ottoman player who, most of the time, they're making a little bit of everything, right? They're making some spearmen at a military school, and then when we get to feudal age, we're going to see some Sapahi coming out. He's going to add some archers out as well. Just like, obviously, you got to make sure everything is upgraded, everything's good to go, because of Byzantines, you might be dealing with a military deficit for the foreseeable future while you're trying to get everything set up. Twin Minaret going to come up at about 437. Really good time from Louis as he's going into those military schools, and now going on the stone to try to get that stuff going. And Crackedy, for the Ottomans, I know this, when they start to get into feudal age, they need to get a lot of buildings. And even though those buildings are a little bit cheaper, they're 100 wood a pop, that wood and how many villagers they have on wood is so important to get everything going.
Yeah, exactly. Needing those buildings early on, like you need the blacksmith relatively early to be able to like boost up the military schools, and you want additional military schools. Like those are still 150 wood each. It takes a while to really get the ball rolling. However, once Ottomans get that ball rolling, they can be just incredibly strong. Like there's this one situation where like if you lose a fight versus Ottomans, if you lose your military, it is going to be very hard for you to come back just because they don't stop producing. It just keeps on going. Even if you like deny their resources, the military schools don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hand it to those Ottoman soldiers, man. They're studying every second of every day to pop out there. And with these spearmen that he has, a little bit of map control now, because he was able to kind of, take little pot shots on some of the gold villagers of B. So now what's really nice for the Ottomans, because of that military school, it works so synergistically because now it gives him these couple minutes, it gives him time to just sit and get all the buildings that he needs to, while B on the other side, yeah, he's using Brand Winery, he's getting his berries, he's getting Merc House too. And what contract did he? I see Silk Road over there, Crackedy. What do you think about that choice?
Yeah, going up with the Silk Road contract means that we will have access to Javelin Throwers and Camel Riders in the Castle Age. Javelin Throwers are really, really nice here just because like they do a lot of base damage. So even if your opponent goes for like a fast Castle Age, you will have a unit that is able to penetrate armored units a little bit better than just normal archers. The Camel Riders, they don't really do too well overall just because of Janissaries being in the game, but having them in there, even in the back line, for the Camelon East against Masapahi definitely works really well. And if you're going for like a fast-ish Castle Age, where Louis might go for Knights and want to like go for the Relic Denial game, having a couple of these Camel Riders out there being able to take care of like some raids from Knights and whatnot, it's definitely a nice unit to have, especially in the late game, because Camel Riders, if you go to a late game, if you age up with the gosh, I make it so rarely. I actually forgot its name. The landmark that upgrades your mercenary units, as well as gives you access to all the like unique kind of siege units from other civilizations. The camel riders, they actually get camel support aura, so all your infantry gets +2/+2 armor.
Yeah, and even you're exactly right. Having just a couple of them, using, because you're at a massive amount of olive oil per minute at that point, right? All of your groves are established. All of your, you could even get some outside berries if you wanted to, maybe some, berry patches you haven't gotten yet. So having the ability to just, you spend that olive oil, maybe get 2 or 4 camels, have them, around, making sure they're staying alive could be a big deal. Louis, though, trying to make sure B doesn't get there. He's still making some units. B's doing a good job in his unit production as well. He's got 7 limit he's got those javelin throwers out, and I think they came out just at the right time. Louis got it back up a little bit. Military count 13-7, and we're seeing the power of the Grand Winery right now. We're seeing the tempo that it's able to do. Just popping out those 4 javelin throwers is huge.
Yeah, but behind that, both of the players are actually looking for really, really fast Castle Age timing. So all of these units right now out in the field, they're just a little bit of bait, a little bit of a distraction. They're like, hey, look, I'm making units. Surely this isn't going to be a fast Castle Age. But the players know. The players know by like just looking at the amount of villagers that there are on gold and just looking at the overall amount of units that their opponent has out so far. They know that this is just going to be a Castle Age race from both players, and then it's going to be all about the relics, because you need to deny the relics from the Byzantines. The Byzantines, if they get 3 relics, they're going to be in a super, super fine position. First village of the game might be going down here. Once Sapai did make it through that wall, and that is going to be the first villager of going down of the game. So Louis able to pick off the first villager, and is also going to be the first one to age up here. Mehmet Imperial Armory is going to be built now by 10 villagers.
And you saw what Louis did with that Sapahi, too, using the fortitude that it's able to do. So it's able to attack a little bit quicker, making sure that villager, he wants to go home. He wants to see his family. He's never going to see his family again. MIA going up into the castle age, and B choosing the Golden Horn Tower, as most do, as the Byzantines in Castle Age. But the MIA, even though the Golden Horn, it's going to take a little bit of time, because you got to get that Castle Age Merc upgrade, right, to make your mercenaries a little bit better. You got to wait for the Golden Horn to churn things out. The MIA, just because of it being near a blacksmith, it gets that mangonel so quickly, and the amount of tempo that you get from the MIA Crackedy, it's to me, it's borderline unparalleled to any other Castle Age landmark.
Yeah, getting the free siege out, it is so good having like free siege at one point in the game. Like if there aren't any major battles going on early on, at one point you'll find yourself 18 minutes into the game suddenly having like 3 mangonels, and you're just able to push into your opponent's base. And then it can become really rough for them. Now, both players reach the castle age, or rather, both players are about to reach the castle age. Louis gonna be the first one, drops immediately another military. Yeah. Oh, a little bit of a lag spike there. Looks like we're back, okay. But yeah, Louis should be able to start gathering up the relics first, in theory. If he goes for the Vizier point, hasn't opted to do so yet, and now we see B actually being the first one to get the monks out on the field with that Grand Winery, which does actually act as a monastery.
Yeah, and it's kind of different because you see the Ottomans as we go for a castle, and it looks like maybe a little bit of skirmish. Louis knows he's got to back up. He's got a lot of horse units there, and even though he has a meter playing the Sound of Music, it's not going to help towards all the spears. But how much, because Louis is going up into Castle Age rather quickly, how much merit does the Vizier point have for the imams here? Because getting those two imams to pop out, start snagging relics very quickly, that probably could have meant he had first choice at the relics that he wanted.
Yeah, it can actually matter a lot, especially in this matchup, because if Byzantines get all the relics that they need in that Grand Winery, having plus 240 olive oil per minute, it allows you to just get so many more mercenary units out. It kind of feels like low-key, like you're somewhat able to imitate the amount of production that Ottomans can get out with their military school. So being able to match up with that is going to put the Byzantines in a really, really good position.
Yeah, absolutely. And you heard one relic get deposited already in that Grand Winery. So what does that mean? More javelin throwers, right? It means more camel riders if he chooses to make them, and Louis going for just about, this composition that he has right now. Camel riders might be helping him. Pops that fortitude. That's another 3-4 villagers. This is not a good look right now for game one, Crackedy.
Yeah, B, he's using the accuratory defense in order to buff up his villagers, but it just doesn't feel like it's enough. And yeah, more villagers going down here. 6 villagers down so far.
That's 6 villagers this early into the game. We're 12.5 minutes in the game. It's so important, right? It means...
It looks like he wants to also get the counter rate in there, but Mangonel, Louis still has a lot of army in his base.
Yeah, he definitely does, and that Mangonel will get a shot off over here. Sapahi's trying to take down that cistern. Only 1 or 2 Limited here trying to back him up. It's not going to be able to do it. On the south side, the villagers continuing to have a little bit of idle time here, trying to walk in the other direction. B's army on the western side feels like it can't push either. B's going to be bringing some Varangian Guard to try to help him out, try to make sure he can stabilize back home. But Louis, having some of that military mass by his base to be a defense, and then having these 4 Sapahi with the Meter going to be able to take down villagers at the same time, being in 2 places at once, it looks like B's scrambling a little bit.
All right, we're just going to quickly try a quick fix on the audio front, because it does seem like every now and then we do sound a little bit robotic-y, like a robot. So just give us a second there. All right, that hopefully fixes it. Just a moment now. Both players right now, they're just posturing around each other with the military in front of each other's base. B did take a great amount of damage so far in the early phase. So a lot of villagers did go down. Now, Louis, he is getting that passive production of the siege out, and at some point, he's going to have to react with that.
And, Crackedy, it's so frustrating, too, because when the MIA spits out the Mangonel, you instantly have siege superiority, slows the game down, right? So B has to do things like make a siege workshop, which is 300 wood, make about 3 Springles to pop that Mangonel. So it takes even 750 in terms of more resources. It slows you down. It makes sure that you can't get aggressive. Louis walling behind it, but at the same time, Louis got a decent military mass here, and now with the siege, he can make a push. That Grand Winery looks like it might have a target on it.
And once again, the Sapahi come in from the backside. B, he does finally have a couple of these camel riders out, should be able to deal with that, but right now, the main issue is also going to be the siege, because a steady push could be coming in from the front side of his base, and right now, he just doesn't have any anti-siege in order to be able to deal with that. So far, he hasn't been able to do any damage to the economy as well. Right now, he's 8 villages behind. Did manage to snag 3 relics, so does at least have the Grand Winery full of relics right now, which is going to help him long term, but it's gonna be tough for him at the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I feel like B is just kind of cornered into his own base right now, where Louis can make walls. Honestly, I would think his walls are a little bit too defensive. You might be able to take the whole cliff if you wanted to, because B knows he can't move out because the Mangonel's there, right? He's adding some mercenaries. He's getting his camel riders. He has some javelin throwers, but it's going to take time to make the springolds he needs. And I think based on the army composition that he has, yeah, he has a lot of javelin throwers, but Louis is still going with Sapaki here. He's adding some men-at-arms too. So B's going to have to need a couple, more than, I would say, 8 crossbowmen if he wants to take a rather advantageous fight. I mean, the military count's kind of the same. That monk is not going to bring his precious back home, it looks like. That monk is very far out there. But I think B's going to need to make some changes before he can take a good battle.
It looks like maybe he's actually getting away with that relic. Once again, Sapahi in the backside of B's base are causing a little bit of havoc here and there. Just wasn't quite able to get rid of them. Maybe now that they moved through a clump of LoueMT, but at the same time, a push is coming in from the front side. Louis is going for that Grand Winery, and that's where all the relics are for B right now. He can't afford to lose that, but it is going down steadily. Presidium, I don't think it's active right now. The building is taking a lot of damage. The Cistern doesn't have Presidium on it. So it's taking the full damage, and those relics, like if those are going down B, he's gonna lose his majority of income when it comes to the olive oil.
And that's the thing about, what B has in terms of his army composition and anti-siege or lack thereof. Winery goes down. What was he even going to do about it?
He does finally have a sprinkled out. Wallow comes out, maybe just to distract. Another Wallow could potentially get villagers. Villagers do get pulled back in time. At the same time, no crucial damage was taken at the front side of B's base, but the Grand Winery is down, so we'll have to rebuild that if he wants to get access to the relics again.
Yeah, and I don't think access to the relics is something he's going to get anytime soon. If Louis does have the presence of mind to make imams, he can kind of take them. Got to be careful, though, when you're going into a Byzantine base.
Springle.
It's very difficult to get in there.
Springle is coming out. Ah, that was close. If B wasn't pop-capped there for a second, that Springle could have been dove on by those Sapai there. Could have been very, very dangerous for them. At the same time, Sapai once again coming in with the raid. Villagers do hop inside the outpost though, but this is really, like, B is struggling right now. He's in a very, very difficult situation. He's getting emplacement, a mangonel emplacement somewhere, so wants to get that out. And now, I mean, Louis, he just wants to cement the position there at the front. Doesn't want that Grand Winery to go up. Now an outpost also coming up.
And look at, Crackedy, look at where B's army is. It's just huddled right next to the town center. It doesn't have anywhere to go. It doesn't have anything to do. B is right now, he's just playing not to die in this particular, he's trying to make units as much as he can, but I think for the Ottomans, they're going to make more of a smothering tactic for him. It's going to be difficult for him to try to get any outside food resources at all, so B might end up starving himself.
Food is very, very rough for B right now. He's sitting on 260, 270 food, and this is where like Byzantines can sometimes struggle with. If they play versus an aggressive civilization and they can't secure like outer resources out on the map, a farm transition can be very, very difficult for them to achieve. Right now, though, B has at least gotten out some Springles, a Mangonel as well. But once again, there's a pie coming in the backside. B just doesn't get the time that he needs it all together through from the deer stack. Instead, he actually moved out to the other deer stack out on the map. That's where he's getting the majority of his food from right now. Did manage to clean up that outpost. But it's so difficult. I think he's on the wood line. I think Louis is on the wood line from B. Actually, a lot of villagers have gone down. So many villagers that go down. B, he just lost an additional 15 villagers.
And there's really no signs of stopping. There's one fortified outpost that has a mangonel tower on it, but that's pretty much it. There's too many supply. It's 57 to 39. And if you're the Byzantines, you don't have those villagers. You're not going to be able to get a decent food source. More villagers are running for their lives. This is more idle time. Louis is going to be able to back up basically where those walls are. At least B has the spring ults. He is going to be able to take a fight, maybe give himself a little bit of breathing room, but this is going to be an issue.
I gotta say, like, this feels a lot like Istanbul right now, not so much like Constantinople. And yeah, I mean, this is really, really tough right now for B to come back from one Springer. Does get picked off, and now the Vizier point for the additional Janissaries has been used as well. Sapai now coming in through the backside are potentially going to be able to clean up the Mangonel. Mangonel also cleans up the Springald here from B. And with that, the last Mangonel goes down. B on 33 military, whereas the 63. And yeah, this This looks like a lot of units about to flood the space.
This is such a convincing fight, too. You have this giant ranged mass from Louis, and B doesn't have any kind of siege. He did have that one mangonel, but that's pretty much it. He does have some javelin throwers, which, yeah, they have a decent amount of ranged armor, but you see crossbowmen back there. It looks like we have some janissaries. There's going to be 10 janissaries rounded up the backside, and for those javelin throwers, you might have a decent amount of ranged armor, but you know what can cut through that ranged armor, Crackedy? That would be a gun.
Yeah, I mean, guns do tend to counter a lot of things in Age of Empires, and this is no different at this point. 15 military units for B. Louis, he could just dive it in right now, end the game, but he needs to play it safe as well, because in this situation, you don't want to lose all your military to a mangonel outpost, but at this time in time, like, Louis could afford to lose all his military and still be fine. The income, it speaks volumes at this point in time. B on 200 food per minute, 500 wood, 1,000 gold. Meanwhile, Louis, he's pretty much doubling the income that B is having.
Yeah, I mean, he can hang out and take a lot of those outside food resources. You see where little blobs of green villagers are on the screen. He's taking deer packs, you know, he's taking berry patches. He can kind of go wherever he wants to. B doesn't have that luxury, right? We're seeing him at 180 food per minute. So as much as he's trying to lick his wounds, as much as he's trying to make as many units as he can, and he's dealing with these raids over and over again. There's another night raid for the Ottomans. Economic count 69, 70 to 45. Most of B's villagers are idle right now. He's just never going to be able to keep up.
Yeah. I mean, the Camel Riders, they're trying to catch up to the Sipahi, but Sipahi, at the end of the day, they do have that superior movement speed. The Byzantines, while Abbasid do get the movement speed upgrade on their Camel Riders, Byzantines just don't have that upgrade. So, in the end, the Camel Riders, they just can't catch up to the Sipahi.
Yeah, I mean, you might be thinking for B, the safe resource, yeah, he has gold over here. His wood line is relatively safe, even though it got raided that one time. It still is in the back. Thinking maybe he could do something like an olive grove transition or something, but he doesn't have the time for this. Look at Louis' military count right now, 85 to 28. And I know, you know, Crackedy, we talked about him pushing in. We have God mode, so we're able to see the difference. We're able to see the discrepancy. It's very difficult for them to be able to do that. Looks like Mangonel Tower will get fortified just in time. Grand Winery trying to get built, not going to happen. Those Janissaries are going to make quick work of those Camel Riders if they stick around, though.
Yeah, but now, I mean, Louis, he's smelling blood, and he is going to go for the all-in. Lots of his range forces, though, stuck a little bit on that Grand Winery, trying to take down that building with their guns, and I'm not finding too much success in that. I mean, the Grand Winery, it's not even repaired yet, like, it's still down. This doesn't really achieve a lot, but now the Mangonels are focusing on that Mangonel and placement outpost, are going to start taking it down, and once that goes down, B, he doesn't really have any more reinforced structures in order to defend him. No more of these defensive emplacements, and I mean, it does do a good amount of damage right now, but the military count, it just doesn't keep up for B at all. And Louis also in a position to soon get a potential keep out. Mangonel emplacement takes at least one Mangonel down with it. Now it's going to fall as well, and B on 10 military units, less than 10 now. He's going to have to wave the white flag, and indeed, GG gets called. Louis gonna be able to win his game here in this best of 7 with the Ottomans against the Byzantines. And you gotta hope for B that this was a throwaway civilization, but I'm not sure if it was. Then again, like, it never feels bad losing against Ottomans, because at least now Ottomans is gonna be out of the picture.
And I mean, that's all well and good, Crackety, but I'm thinking about, you know, why not just ban it in the first place? Right? I mean, with Ottomans, we talk about how strong they are and how powerful they are day in and day out. Now we actually saw them in action, right? A lot of those mangonels that dictated the battles against the Byzantines, they happen to be free. So, you know, he did lose a mangonel, you know, with that based on that mangonel tower. And I know that you narrated it. But in the back of my head, I was like, who cares? He didn't get it, you know, he didn't pay any resources for it anyway. So what does it matter? Now we see a pretty convincing Istanbul takeover in game 1. Maybe we have a little momentum on LoueMT's side heading into game 2. We're going to be playing on coastal cliffs. This is 75% of a normal map, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can't get to those coasts. And it's going to be Delhi against Malians. What do you think about this matchup?
It's an interesting matchup. Like, both these civilizations can play really, really aggressively in feudal age. Malians, typically, they do want to go for faster castle age with the cow boom. But in this matchup, they're going to be forced to play a little bit more in that feudal age, and they do get some great units to be able to like sustain production in that feudal age as well. So while the Delhi arguably get the best horseman in the game right now, maybe second best, but I think value-wise, when it comes to how many resources they cost, probably the best horseman in the game with the Ghazi Raider. Um, the Malians on the other side get the best spearmen, downright. I mean, now you could argue with the LoueMT being there, okay, maybe not just the best spearman, but one of the best spearmen in the game with the Donzo, where they do get that range attack, so they're able to take down some of these cavalry units before the fight even really starts. They get the javelin throwers out as well. I think this is gonna be this matchup is very, very difficult, I think, to narrate just because it always depends on how the Malian players play the game in the end. They gotta play a little bit more feudal heavy, they gotta make more units, they still should get a couple of those cattle out, and if they do manage to get a decent cattle transition behind everything, I think the longer the game goes, the better it is gonna be for Malians. They just can't take too much damage early on.
Yeah, it's so difficult, with the Malians because we talk about some civilizations like we just did with the Byzantines in game 1 being like, "Oh, you know, you have, a decent amount of time where you gotta get up and running. You have a decent amount of time where you gotta get all of your ducks in a row before you can send them out into the pond, right? For the Malians, very similar, right? For the first like 8.5 minutes of the game, they're basically like, nobody talk to me. Don't touch me. Don't stay on your side of the base. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna start getting cows. I'm gonna start getting my pit mines, and then we'll take it to you a little bit later. They would love a 10-minute no rush custom game, let me tell you. But for the Delhi, they're kind of the antithesis of that, right? They want to get in feudal. They want to get in your face. They want to get the sacred sites. They want to take map control. So these civs definitely have, for how they juxtapose the way they play feudal, it's so different compared to the two. It's almost like, which one's going to come out on top? Is Delhi going to be able to harass the Mali? Is Delhi going to be able to make sure the Mali doesn't get up and going? Or is the Mali player going to be defensive enough? And they're going to be like, okay, you got one or two sacred sites. That's all well and good. What does that equate to? 5 villagers? Like, I care. I have 20 cows and I will have all of the food and I will get 100 military and we'll see how much your precious sacred sites mean to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Malians. If they do get that cattle economy up and rolling, Delhi, they want to finish the game before farm transition. They want to just sustain themselves throughout the entire feudal age off of deer, off of those berries. If Delhi starts to make farms, suddenly they're going to be in a rough spot in this matchup. That's how long the Malian player has to hold out, though. That's how long the Malian player might even have to delay his castle age if he wants to like have a leg up in this game against the Delhi. But Delhi, they can just pile on so much pressure on you throughout the entire early part of the game with those very, very fast produced Ghazi Raiders as well. And yeah, just having so many units out in the field, it can be tough for the Malians to be able to deal with that. If suddenly that really big all in comes and we do have that like push comes to shove kind of situation, Mali could potentially find themselves to struggle with that. But we're gonna have to see how exactly this gets played because B, he is you could say one of the best Malian players in the game as well. Like very early on, when Mali came out, we saw B be like the first one to really start experimenting with it and really get into the nitty gritty of all the mechanics that the Malians have access to. So it's gonna be interesting to see if he can make full use of that against the Delhi. But Louis Delhi is no joke.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I really like how Louis, and I think we've seen in the round robin, some of the games that we've played, we've seen him play Delhi. We've seen how good he is. And in feudal, what I've noticed too in a lot of these feudal age battles, there is a lot of number one, micro, right? There's a lot of two, resource management, just to make sure you're getting all of the units that you need. Because a lot of times for Delhi, they're going to give you a little bit of everything, right? They're going to give you some Ghazi Raiders, they're going to give you some spears, they're going to give you some archers. And you got to make sure, I mean, we know because these are the tip top of the players, they know how to do this. But I think we kind of take it for granted when we watch some of these high level players because think about, especially with these efficient production, military production buildings, having a scholar in your barracks, having a scholar in your archery range in your stable, being able to have your villagers allocated on the correct resources to continuously pump out of all of those It is a talent. It is such a great skill to watch, and we see it and we take it for granted. So I want everyone to appreciate as Louis gets into feudal age, he starts pumping out units. Let's everyone take a look at it and see how good he does.
Yeah, and I mean it's really difficult like getting that transition down correctly. Like always managing your economy specifically for the type of units that you do want to get out. It definitely is a great skill to have, and it looks like we're gonna be jumping into our game number 2 now between Louis and B. And here we go, spawning in the color orange, playing as the Malians. We got 3DB. We're here on Coastal Cliffs. You can see a good portion of the map has been separated by those cliffs. Players, they don't have the option of going out there on that water. It's all cliffs there, no way to get over there. On the other hand side, we got LoueMT in the color green playing as the Delhi Sultanate here. This is a very aggressive map, not just because the map is smaller, but also because there are less options to boom, because the first stone that you start with, it's far away. It is very far away from your base, so going on stone early for like a fast second TC or something like that, it's not really an option on this map.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this map is a lot of fun just because of what you stated. Having the stone all the way back, and you're seeing what Vodka has to do to move to actually find that stone. He has to go away from the first town center. First town center is not even in view as we're taking a look here. So it's very difficult to actually go out if you want to do things like expand economically. What's nice is both of these civilizations, Crackedy, notoriously love being one town center. So the Malians, a lot of the ways they get their economic prowess is passive income through those buildings, not necessarily a town center. Delhi Sultanate going to be able to use things like sacred sites for them to create that snowball. So this is really important too when you're playing as Coastal Cliffs, because not only the map is smaller, the cliffs over there on the right side, the only thing they're doing is raising the rent in terms of the amount of property you get, a beachfront property, but the stone means you're not going to be able to expand economically with town centers. So you got to find a different way to do it.
Yeah. The thing is, or at least if we take a look at it, something interesting here that we actually see right now, something that's not really usual, how you, for example, play Malians. B, he didn't go for the entire 6 houses on his pit mine. Instead, he opted for only those 4 initial houses, which means he still has 50 wood inside of that straggler tree. Meaning, though, that he will get a lot faster timing when it comes to feudal age. And this potentially tells us like the sort of game plan that he's going for. It might be a very aggressive plan here in feudal age. And look at that, 8 villagers building that Mansa quarry. Could we potentially see a return from B towards like an early warrior scout build here, or early warrior scout aggression?
It kind of feels like you have to, because not only maybe not with warrior scouts, but just being aggressive, even though it's not something that the Malians typically want to do, you got to stop the Delhi from snowballing, right? And when you have Delhi usually around, 6 minutes to 6.5 minutes, they get a lot of their production buildings going. They start making units officially production, and they start packing snow, right? To start to make their snowball. They're going to be trying to get their sacred sites. Then all of a sudden they take that first fight, and that snowball becomes an avalanche that the opposing civ can't really do anything about. So if he tries to get a little bit aggressive, right? Get 8 on that Mansa quarry. Look how quick this feudal age time is. 3:12. He hits up that Mansa quarry. And then he's going to go on wood. He's probably going to add a little bit more in terms of production building. So he's trying to take it to Delhi. He's trying to say, hey, there's a couple sacred sites on this map. I'm going to make you fight for it.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got to take a look at the sheep count right now as well that both players have. I think I saw 8 sheep coming in for Louis from his scout. So right now, B, he's actually got 11 sheep right there with his scout. So sheep, he definitely did get a couple more than Louis did in this game. And that can be really important, because that means that even if Louis did start with that berries inside, inside of his base, and he then has a lot of time to be gathering from the sheep, it's going to run out sooner or later, and that's when he has to go out on the map. And that's where B could potentially get a timing in order to harass Delhi. Because that is actually one of the great strengths from Delhi. They start with those berries, which means after the berries run out, that's when they go onto the sheep. And for the entire duration, their food income is safe. If they have map control, then they go out on the map a little bit earlier and always have the potential to fall back on that sheep. But if they don't have that many sheep out there, that's where you can really make them struggle for food income.
Yeah, and that's so nice. Exactly what you talked about. Just to be a little bit safer. And we know from Delhi, if there's berries on this map, they're gonna find them. right? Because of how proficient they are at gathering them. And we can see, you know, not only is the stone far out there, but a lot of the secondary resources that they're looking for, especially for, might be foreshadowing a little bit, but especially some of these berry packs that Louis has, they're way out in front. They're not near his base. They're not behind his base. They're not any of those areas. So if he wants to go out for outside food resources, even just the deer packs themselves, it's a dangerous territory.
Hmm. And we're starting to see now the usual deli opener. So we do have the blacksmith. Wait, actually, never mind. I thought it was a stable. No, it's actually double blacksmiths here from Louis. So looks like he feels like he can take his time with that early aggression. Meanwhile, at the same time, though, B, he's actually pumping out his military production buildings. He's getting some cattle out. He's doing a cattle transition all at the same time. He's very active right now when it comes to the macro. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly he'll make of this. Only now the first production building will come in for Louis and is going to be that stable.
Yeah, and I think B's doing all the right stuff here too, Crackedy. I mean, 5.5 minutes, he gets a barracks out. He already has a Donzo queued. Louis went a little bit greedier with the 2 blacksmiths, so it's different. The first thing he's going to be able to make with that stable is a Ghazi Raider. B's already got a handle, right? So it's going to be difficult, I think, for Louis if he wants to try to get these sacred sites. You know, it's going to be a little bit different. While on the backside, this is something that's really, really frustrating if you're playing against the Malians. You have that pit mine that's in the back. You have those cattle ranches that are right near the town center. You want to be able to try to raid this player, but it's going to be so difficult for you to actually do that and really put a dent in the Malian resource count. So maybe that means Malians can make more units later down the road. And maybe that means we see a military count that's rather comparable in Feudal Age. You usually see Delhi having more. Maybe Malians can keep up.
We do see the Malian scholars now moving out. Question is, will they be moving inside of buildings, or are they already going to be moving out towards those sacred sites? I think they might actually be already moving out towards sacred sites. Never mind. I think, judging by the minimap, yeah, they did just hop inside of buildings. So there's going to be a lot of military being pumped out there very soon by Louis. At the same time, B. So active with the military production. There we go. This is essentially 3 archery ranges and 2 stables there for Louis right now, with those scholars inside pumping out military units. And we can see right now, even when it comes to military out in the field, that's going to be in favor of Louis very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah, because of how many archers are there? Absolutely. But what's really nice about the Malians is those Donzos throw their spears from a different dimension. As the Ghazi Raiders run away, they got some force on those spear throws, let me tell you. But the javelin throwers on the back end, and this is one of the things that's interesting about the Malians in Feudal, they make very hard counters to specific units, and then there's other units that just completely torch them, right? So javelin throwers against archers, obviously, javelin throwers are going to be taking them out rather convincingly. And then the Donzos, obviously so good against the Ghazi Raiders for the Delhi. So B's doing the right thing and making just about the hardest counter that he possibly could, and the hardest counter that this game might possibly have. I think it's going to come down to a micro battle even.
Yeah, we do have the Ghazi Raiders now in the middle of the map. There is an outpost though, so units from D can hop inside for safety. We also see a wall on the left-hand side for B. He does want to shrink down the map a little bit now, because he is going to be making the quote-unquote slower military force here with the Donzos, with the javelin throwers. So he has to be really, really careful when it comes to positioning of his army. In order to help him with that, he's going to have to shrink down the map a little bit with those walls. Now we do see double sacred site capture here coming in from Louis. Has his military force on the right-hand side, and that's also where B is going to be going now. Has to be careful, though, because against this military force right now, he will have to back out.
Yeah, and you're seeing the lack of mobility kind of at play, right? The Ghazi Raiders are going to be able to track him down. There's not enough Ghazis to take, or there's not enough Donzos to take him down. But the Malian reinforcements on the western side of your screen going to be making the Delian force back up a little bit. That sacred site's going to be capped, but now I'm thinking about how long it might be capped for, because those javelin throwers, we talked about it before, they have such a high base damage where away, we could lead to some damaged horsemen if Louis isn't careful using that scholar trying to heal up his units.
Yeah, the issue is though, like, B is very far out right now on the map, and he's got 16 military units compared to 24. Not just that, but also the army value is an elite for Louis. He also gets faster attacking archers. Faster attacking archers versus Donzos is incredibly, incredibly strong, because it means that you can just clean up those Donzo count very, very quickly, even though like you will be trading archers against the javelin throwers. as soon as the Don's is out, that's when the Gazi Raiders can really strike. And that's where it becomes so difficult to like micro like your different armies there, these different army groups.
And that's what I've noticed too when you're microing these feudal age battles, you know, those Donzos that are there for the Malians. I mean, obviously they're DPS units against Gazis, but they're not DPS units against anything else. They're more of a defensive unit. If you use them to protect your javelin throwers, right? Use those javelin throwers, make sure a lot of these archers go down. But now that we're seeing the military counts shift in the favor of Delhi Sultanate, there's 16 archers to only 7 or 8 javelin throwers. Because he has a couple archer ranges and he's able to continuously pump those units out, might this just be an overwhelming force that B can't deal with?
It might very well be. Just looking at the resource right now, looking at the income, Louis, he's sitting at 750-ish food per minute, 600 wood per minute. He's just having a lot more income right now in those resources that he needs in order to actually get units out. B is actually gathering up a lot of gold, so I'm guessing the cattle transition is also happening for him. We gotta take a look and see just how many cattle he has out right now inside of his base. He does have all the cattle ranches, and he's got 8 cattle out right now. He is gonna need a bit more in order to really get the food pumping right now, because right now he's struggling for army count. 40 to 21 when it comes to the military out on the field right now. And B has to be so careful not to just get overrun right now. He's inching forward with the scout every now and then, just trying to decap the sacred site. Keeping Louis on guard there. And if he actually gets a decap there, that could be very good for him. But I think Louis, he's just gonna always pay attention there. And there we go. Every single time the decap just goes more than like halfway, that's when he's gonna be there. Once again, scouts goes over. Archers are gonna deny him. I think B might just have to like send his scout over to the other sacred site, because at this sacred site, it's unlikely that he'll really get the decap going.
Yeah, and you got to think, just because that scout is there, it has that vision while it's decapping, he should know that Louis's army is here, right? So going for that other sacred site might be a good idea. Those javelin throwers are able to pick off one archer, but again, taking a battle just straight ahead like this might not be the best idea. And it looks like javelin throwers, you want to make sure they're not overstepping. They are rather slow units. Gazi Raiders trying to get a charge here. Donzo's trying to protect those javelin throwers. And look at the micro out of both of these players. Again, those Donzos, they're just protecting the javelin throwers. That's it. They're not trying to get up there. They're not trying to get up close and personal. They're just making sure those javelin throwers stay alive. But I agree with you, Crackedy. I really don't think, even though he's able to attack at a distance, taking this battle straight on could be a death sentence.
And we're getting close to as many Gazi Raiders as there are Donzos out on the field. Now also Spearmen getting added here for Louis, and the Spearmen are actually a great front line. They don't really take that much damage, or rather they can soak up a ton of damage from those javelin throwers, and they're also a great meat shield against the Donzos. Oh, the Donzos firing all their spears into that ram. It's gonna be very difficult. B will have to micro all of his units there in order to really like avoid hitting that ram as much as possible. It's just soaking up all of this fire right now.
Yeah, you were talking about meat shield, but now we have a wood shield. This battering ram just taking javelin after javelin over and over again. And yeah, it could have some DPS, but now we might see a charge. Oh my god, every time B goes in with those Donzos, it scares me a little bit, because I'm thinking he's going to take it. Maybe those Spearmen create a good front line too, because again, those javelins, those Donzos, they don't have that bonus damage against it, and B has to keep backing up and backing up. He's using that outpost, that toll outpost from the Malians to help it out. Malians might actually be in trouble here. Those Gazi Raiders are in a little bit of a choke point here, trying to make sure that they stay alive. Archers in the back. Not sure if those javelin throwers were actually focused on those archers. It doesn't look like a lot of them went down, Crackedy. Looking at what we have on the upper right part of the screen, Louis got about 30 archers still.
Yeah, the archer count, it's not really moving down right now. B, he's making a lot of units here right now as well, but his military count, it's dropping rapidly. 20 military units remaining. The Gazi Raiders also dropping low here in count. It's tough to call right now who's going to win this, but judging from the military count, B, he's losing a lot of his units, and yeah, there aren't that many Donzos out anymore. And now, the remaining Gazi Raiders are able to just slay all of these javelin throwers here. And B, he's getting more production buildings. There was a single. Where did that ram come from? Oh my god. Where did that come from? A single ram on the left-hand side actually takes down the pit mine from B. He just noticed. Now he's torching down the ram, but behind all of that, he actually lost 6 villagers as well.
The invisible ram.
He waited until the fight happens, and then once the fight started happening, that's when he just A-moved those units. There's 2 units that he had on the left side with the ram, and he actually got a lot of damage in with that.
And, you know, Louis said he goes to B as the Valiant. He's like, hey, you got passive income with those pit mines? I'll show you passive income. Now you got nothing. Those houses aren't generating gold. They're not generating anything except 5 population. And now a lot of these villagers for the Malian Empire do not have a home. It looks like B might get housed pretty decently and pretty quickly. He's only at about 65 population and has 62. We saw him try to add a little bit of military production buildings here. He's got a couple archery ranges and a couple barracks. Might be able to mass up a little bit, but the thing of it is, Louis only has to worry about 2 resources. He only has to worry about food and wood, while B, he's trying to get his pit mines going. He's trying to get his cows going. This is the opportune time to try to take down the Malians. This is such a good time before they hit Castle Age, before they get that boom started, and they only have those feudal age units. Louis could just continue to make military units continue to produce what he has. Such a convincing first fight. You can see that military count 65 to 26, 28 is going up a little bit for B. But now he's got to make his production buildings all over again because he placed them forward. This could be a disaster for B.
Yeah, his archer range is going down. He's got so many javelin throws in queue right now. He's just not able to get them out on the field. And with that, it's 30 military units out on the field compared to almost 70 for Louis. And behind that, there's always that sacred side timer ticking down. And it's so much pressure right now for B. And I feel like Louis, he's just mashing it in right now. The archers are stepping forward. The Donzos are getting sniped out. And the javelin throws, they're just not... reduce the amount of archers here. Now the Donzos are moving in, but they're getting shredded by the archers. Spearman frontline as well, proving to just be so effective when it comes to soaking up that damage. Javelin throws just not able to get the shots on the backline that they need to be able to get. And with that, it feels like Louis is just completely driving over B right now. And B just doesn't have what it takes in order to protect his base here. All of this is under the TC as well. 15 villagers inside that TC, completely idle, firing on the army there from Louis, but it's just not enough in order to like stem this tide of units that are just coming out. Villagers managed to take down the ram, but now they're under fire from the archers. B bleeding a lot of villagers.
Yeah, and because of all this idle time that's going on with B, how's he going to be able to remass anything? You know, I mean, he still has stuff in the queue, but his production went down. That archery range is starting to burn. Javelin throws, it looks like there's about 5 with that town center. I don't think Louis cares if this archer mass ends up going down because all he could do is just make more anyway. There's 25 total on the battlefield. We're only seeing 9 on screen, so a lot of them are going to end up going down. Definitely worth how many archers went down, all of this idle time, the villager kills. There's 17 worker kills on the side of Louis. Economic count 58 to 37. I think this is just a matter of time, Crackedy. These villagers are looking for resources to try to get to and something that's safe, and they're just running for their lives. And I feel like they're going to for the duration of this game.
And at this point in time, I mean, we take a look at the economy count, 37 to 59. Louis, he's getting so many resort on the map. He's actually now on the deer and on the berries over on B side, just able to exhaust every single resource out there on the map. Still has the military advantage after all of the units that he threw away under a TC. And it feels like at this point in time, there's a timer that he just can't get rid of, that 2-minute sacred side timer. He is getting a javelin throw on one of the sacred sides, but all it takes is a single Ghazi Raider to be able to decap that, or rather stop that decap.
If that sacred site gets decapped, I don't know if Louis cares.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, like it feels like just because of how much economic damage has been done, even if that thing gets decapped, he sent basically the army that he has over there to try to decap that sacred site. Now back home, there's nothing. There's no cattle ranches anymore. They're starting to get rammed down. I'm not necessarily sure what that ram is hitting because the cattle ranches are pretty much quite low to the ground, but those cattle don't have anywhere to go. They're going to be picked off. That's some rare meat that they're going to be able to harvest at some point if those villagers can actually make it their way out of the town center. The B's got villagers all over the place trying to gather just some kind of resource. Yeah, that sacred site gets decapped, but to be honest, I think the game's kind of over in 2 minutes, whether the sacred site timer goes off or otherwise.
Javelin throws now make it back to the base, but what even is remaining here at this point in time? Not a lot, not a lot. Yeah, it's just kind of the ruins here right now in B space that he's fighting for, and Louis, he's still getting so many more resources out on the map. Now the remass of the Ghazi Raiders happening as well, and he's back into mastering Ghazi Raiders. Definitely doesn't look like he needs to even go up to Castle Age here to finish this game.
No, that's what makes the Delhi Avalanche so powerful, because yeah, with the sacred sites, you know, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. So Louis took it into B's base, but now because of the map control that he has, he can get all of those outside food resources, because we both know Delhi hate a farm transition. So they're able to get all of those resources. Those javelin throwers are caught with spearmen and Ghazi Raiders. I don't see any Donzos on the field. There's one total out there somewhere, but not going to be able to do much in that particular regard. Louis can just keep putting pedal to the metal and feudal age. We're seeing the Delhi Sultanate at what the Delhi Sultanate is good at doing. And it's just getting to feudal, getting those sacred sites, and ramming your face in.
Villagers on the run, spearmen on one side, archers on the other hand side. B is doing the smart thing, he's choosing the spear, but the spear actually trap him a little bit in. Villagers are able to shuffle around that, but it's it's so tough to come back from this position. I mean, now there's a lot of food to be gathered, to be fair, and a lot of fast food as well. Louis, one way or another, is going to have to go for a farm transition, I feel like, the way B is playing this game out right now. Farms are actually coming in for him right now, so the farm transition is going to be very smooth here.
Yeah, and what's nice is he has the time for it, right? He has a military lead of 30. So even if, you know, he still has units in the queue of all of his military production buildings. So yeah, he could do this pretty seamlessly. And just adding a little bit of farms at a time, it looks like he's going, you know, in sets of, you know, 6 or 7, something like that. It means some excess wood that he has is going to be a good idea. I actually bought a couple bits of stone to add some arrow slits to some of his outposts just to make sure. Louis just making sure that this game is 100% completely over, you know, and that food resource is going to be very important if the Malians end up getting there with a decent amount of units. But again, it's just the other side being like, well, he's spending his resources pretty good, you know, but it's how much he's getting per minute. You know, Louis is getting 1,500 food per minute off of that food oasis on the western side of the map. So maybe B is looking to try to take that area down, but I just don't think he's going to have an availability to do that.
Yeah. Sacred Site victory back on the menu. 10-minute timer ticking again, but this time I don't think we're going to be seeing it hit that 0 timer. I think the game is going to very likely end before that. Louis right now, he's just massing up military. We're up to 20 spearmen now. Spearmen that are literally just there in order to be like a meat shield and torch down buildings. And there we go. Louis, he's sending it in. They're going for the all-in.
What are you going to do against this, Crackedy? We talked about those spearmen, and it was such a good choice, you know, because you might think it's pretty counterintuitive. You're like, I don't see any sofas out here. What's the point of making spearmen? But just tanking those little bit of javelin throws, right? Tanking those little bit of spears. It's so important. Now there's no cattle. All of the cattle end up going down except for that cattle ranch, but I don't think the amount of Donzos and javelin throwers are going to be able to deal with that. B trying to get a little bit more production in the backside of his base, but those archers, they're not just normal archers, they're Tower of Victory archers. They're going to be making those Donzos go down in the blink of an eye, and those Ghazi Raiders are going to have free reign. It looks like they're trying to escape a little bit through that gate. Villagers trying to escape through that gate as well, but we all know horsemen, they can take up a lot of space, and it looks like those javelin throwers are going to end up surviving. But look at how many worker kills now. 26 worker kills for Delhi. This has just been a complete ultra aggression masterclass.
Javelin Pro is now trying to snipe out the archers, but that wall is going to go down. No amount of repairing is going to stop what's coming in there. He losing the remainders of his villagers as well. Javelin throwers have to shuffle back past those walls. They're at least going to be able to take down the Ghazi Raiders here, but that's just not the end. That is so far from the end. There's more units just literally streaming across the side right now here from Louis. More spearmen, more Ghazi Raiders, more archers. And B, he's trying to extinguish the fires, but now Louis, he's going for the GG move. Compound of the Defender is coming in, 18 villagers on that. He wants to send the signal. B, it is time. This game is not going to be yours, and with that, I think as soon as the Age-Up's going to come in, we're going to be looking at a 2-0 here right now for Louis.
Man, God, I hope so. At this point, you know, I mean, B's trying to get as many resources as he
He's a fighter.
possibly can. Yeah, I mean, I definitely know. If I was playing in this tournament, this would mess with my headspace a little bit. Just being in that consistent state of losing for how long he's been, because we can see it just based on the score differential. Now that Louis hit Castle Age, we're going to see probably some Castle Age units, maybe some heavy units to kind of help out. I'm kind of curious as to why. Like I'm trying to wrap my head around it as to why he's still hanging around.
Maybe it's also to potentially try and play with Louis' nerves a little bit. Like early on in the career of a pro player, like this kind of stuff definitely can like get to you, get to your nerves as well. But I think Louis at this point in time, like he's very well established. I don't think the nerves are going to be an issue for him at this point in time. Like he's just like, okay, I already won the game and finally calls it as well. And with that, it's going to be a 2-0 now for Louis. And Louis having a definite leg up right now in this set. And B, he's going to be struggling. He's going to have to find a way to come back from this situation now.
Yeah, being down 2-0, it's a little bit tough. And I know you talked about that first game having some, maybe a quote unquote throwaway civilization with the Byzantines. But being in the first game of a series, I don't know if you're really in that position to have that quote unquote throwaway. Now that he's down 2-0, right? He's got to be pulling out some of the best stuff that he has, right? He's got to be able to make sure that whatever matchups that he has left over, whatever civs that he actually has left over, he's got to pull a game or two out. This momentum is all in Louis' favor now in a 2-0 series, and 3-0 is going to be somewhat devastating to come back to. I mean, reverse sweeps happen, but this game could really, really be crucial for him. Hopefully, he gets a good matchup. Hopefully, he gets a good map to try to bring his way back into it. And it looks like we're going to be seeing LoueMT on game 3, Louis going with the HRE, 3DB going with Japan. This is an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and I actually like this matchup a lot for the Japanese as well, because Japanese, they got this opportunity here to really like put pressure on the HRE when it comes to that fast castle age, when it comes to trying to get those relics. Because the Japanese actually have a unit that they're able to mass up really, really quickly as soon as they hit that castle age. They can either go for the mounted samurai, or they could just go for the mass Onabogasias. And mass Onabogasias actually can lure the HRE into a full sense of, oh, I gotta counter this Landsknechte. Because Landsknechte, like getting them out in mass takes a little bit of time. And the Onabogasias, they actually have a lot of attack range. So you're able to like spread formation and you're able to catch up and trap those Landsknechte relatively easily. In mass, Onabogasias are also great against just normal knights because they're able to pick them up and be a very, very solid civ against HRE. So I think this matchup here should be pretty even between the two.
Yeah, and what's crazy about these Onabugisha too, because you can obviously you can mass them up because they don't take a lot of time to pop out of the barracks. They're relatively cheap units, right? They're 60 food, 20 gold. So being able to, and I know a lot of people fall into, just like you said, that false sense of security of, well, I make things like knights or I make things like heavy armored units, because Onabugisha, they don't have a lot of attack. But just because of how many there are, how quickly they attack every 0.9 seconds. Things like heavy armored units might not be the play because you just don't end up having enough either. So these Onabugisha, they are tricky units. They are tricky units to deal with, especially, a lot of people talk about making archery ranges at a time when the HRE might not necessarily want to do that. They want to make things like melee units. So maybe this is where B ends up getting on the scoreboard. Remember, it's a 2-0 LoueMT lead. We have B playing as the Japanese in the color orange, spawning in the northeastern part of the map. His opponent obviously is LoueMT playing as the color green, as the Holy Roman Empire on the southwestern side. And on LoueMT, looking at this map, it almost looks like Crackedy, it almost looks like a baby cliffside, the way those mountain ranges are.
It does, but dude, take a look at B space. We got a value mining camp, or rather a value forge coming in here. Look at that forge from B, getting in range both of the stone and of the gold here. Very, very nice opener here for him, having access to both these resources with a single forge.
Yeah, that's just stonks. Stonks are on the rise for B. Now knowing you only need that little bit of wood to get a forge on both sides. I'm not seeing any puzzle pieces from LoueMT. His spawn might be a little bit different. Now, he does have the gold on his sides. Going for Castle Age, HRE is one of those civilizations that actually your spawn kind of helps you or hurts you, very similar to or analogous to how the Mongols work because of for the HRE, that Aachen Chapel's got to be placed optimally.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a little bit difficult here for Louis to really get the optimal spot in because he'll have to make a decision. He'll have to make a decision. I think it's gonna have to be either right next to the woodline and the TC, or what he could also do is he could also like try and get the gold stone and a part of the woodline in range of it. Either way, he's gonna have to make a decision. The most important thing here, long term, is gonna have to be food and wood. Short term, the most important thing would be food and gold in order to get a quicker castle age timing in. B right now, he's getting a lot of the sheep here, and that is where HRE can potentially struggle because they need sheep. They absolutely crave sheep at the beginning of a game because they need that additional food in order to be able to supplement their fast age up. Let's not forget, with the inspiration, they're chewing through their resource 40% faster than other civilization. And Aachen Chapel is going to be going up for Louis. It looks like there's going to be, yeah, a second TC play actually here from him.
That's really interesting. I was not expecting that. You know, I was thinking for the HRE just because Japan, even though, you know, we talk about how quickly you can mass up things like Onobugeisha, it still takes a little while to do things like get the wood that you need, get the barracks that you need, then change your macro to food and gold to make sure you get those units and all of that kind of stuff. Going with the second town center from LoueMT, does this mean he's going to stick around in feudal a little bit longer than we anticipated?
It's gonna have to be. Now, HRE, they can still get a really, really good age up timing. Even with 2TC, they can go like below a 10-minute, maybe like 9-minute-ish age up if they go for it naked. I don't think they can really go for it like completely without making any units. It's just gonna be too difficult because B, with the Japanese, they can just mess up those mounted samurai. Mounted samurai are going to be able to just dive under the TC and take down a lot of villagers on that woodline. And let's not forget, Louis, he doesn't have a lot of sheep. We see 3 sheep behind that scout. He is absolutely going to be starved when it comes to sheep. He's going to have to make a farm transition, and that's going to hurt his economy even more.
Yeah, honestly, Crackedy, I don't think you have the ability to overstate that point because for the HRE, we talk about this too with other civs like China, maybe stuff like that. But for the HRE, getting food resources and getting that sheep and getting as many sheep as you possibly can means you delay those outside food resource gathering points, and it means that Aachen Chapel can continue to inspire your food income, right? Because it's right next to the town center. Take a look at what LoueMT has in terms of all of those outside food resources. Yeah, on Lipany, you get a little bit of extra berries, right? But all of that stuff is a little bit more forward. And look at what B's doing in the feudal age now with that Cura storehouse built. He's got a rogue villager, and it looks like he's trying to, what's he trying to make here?
I think it's going to be an outpost on the gold. I don't think B has really scouted out that Louis is going to go for a 2TC play. So if it is a fast castle age, getting an outpost up on the gold from Louis could delay the castle age timing. But yeah, I mean, the 2TC play is going to kind of throw a wrench in that plan. Behind that, I think B himself is going to go for his fast castle age. And it's going to be difficult because Japan fast castle age is really good in this matchup. You get a free Shinto priest immediately. You're able to immediately be able to start contesting those relics, get a lot of unit production out. And look at where the relics are. Oh, he's walling in the far relic in the back, and all the other relics are right in the middle. Okay, wow. This actually slightly hurts B because these walls aren't needed. Oh no, they're gonna get torched.
Well, I think Louis got the memo. They're not needed because now they're gone. That was supposed to be a beautiful and perfect equilateral triangle, and now it's nothing. It's just a straight line. So it's gonna take a little bit of time, and obviously, this delays B's castle age a little bit, right? Because it's 2 villagers that you could be having on food or you could be having on gold to make sure that you get up to castle age as quickly as possible. He's walling these relics, which is great, but like you said, now with the second town center, hopefully B scouts that soon and realize, maybe these triangles all over the map might not be the best idea yet.
But actually, Louis, he just rallied a lot of villagers back over to gold, so it is going to be a fast castle age attempt to follow up with. And I would... Ah, no, B, he's going away. Like an outpost now on the gold from Louis would have been great there. Louis, though, he's also getting his own outpost up there. So he's going to now have access to safe deer as well as... I gotta say, this is still looking at his base. This is still gonna be very rough for Louis. He just doesn't have the resources like under his TC. He doesn't have the sheep that he needs. Like, sure, he's on the deer now, but that's unsupervised. He's or like not inspired. He's gonna need to make another prelate in order to be able to get inspiration out on these villagers. There is another prelate in queue now, so he is gonna be working on that. But the castle age timing, it's gonna be very late for Louis here. I feel like he did add another barracks in, so we might see some spearmen coming out in order to defend his base. But spearmen also cost a lot of food. It's gonna be tough for him to be able to afford all of that. I think just pure mounted samurai from B in a death ball might be potentially able to just end Louis.
Yeah, and I mean, especially because we talk about how quickly that you can mass up Onabugisha, you could definitely mass up Mounted Samurai very quickly too, especially if you're quite unbothered in terms of your food resources and gold resources, because you get a Yoroshiru in one of those stables, you can pop out a Mounted Samurai every 12 seconds. So you might be thinking about things like the School of Cavalry being able to produce knights rather quickly, but a Yoroshiru stable, you can get that death ball of Mounted Samurai that you talked about at a moment's notice.
And the floating gate is now going to be coming in here for B. And not only that, he also already secured a lot of the relics out on the map with those initial walls. So we'll have no trouble at all securing a lot of these relics. And that means that Louis, with that second DC, I think he probably has no other option but then to go for Burgrave, which already hurts since he already made his first initial barracks. But Regnitz, I feel like, would just be wasted here.
Yeah, I think so too, because probably by the time Louis actually clicks up with whatever building he chooses, it's probably going to be another minute and a half-ish, or maybe even 2 minutes. So the Regnitz Cathedral is just going to end up being a fancy-looking building. There's nothing going to be there, right? So Burgrave is probably the idea, but I mean, do you really want to go against infantry against the Japanese civilization that has a lot of infantry unique technologies?
Louis, he's getting up there now with the food count. Gold still not quite there. Has a problem inspiring those gold villagers. B finally reaching that castle age. And there we go. Immediately, Onabagacious are coming out. He's going to be able to drop the Yoroshiro in there. Mosque also going up immediately, or rather monastery. So is going to immediately have a place to drop the relics off in.
I'm very curious, Vodka, if you wouldn't mind clicking on that barracks with the Yoroshiro. I want to see how quickly he can spam out Onabugisha if we take a look here. Those Onabugisha. 5 seconds.
That is
5
absurd.
seconds. Don't blink, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to see a couple Onabugisha pop out of there if you choose to. And now, with the military lead that he's going to have and will continue to have for the duration of this game, I'll tell you what, though, Crackedy Spearman, if he did make that one Spearman and then he started canceling it, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, and we see Louis, he's getting close to Castle Age, needs to be a Burgrave. If it's going to be anything other than a Burgrave, I think it's going to be a fast GG coming out from him. First relic has already been snagged, and I think the next 3 are also going to definitely be going over to B. Second Shinto Priest already out. First couple Onabagishas are starting to burn down the wall there. Burgrave Palace is going to be coming in. Landsknechte could be coming out there for Louis, and an archery range as well. So we could potentially see some crossbows there as well. I'm still not sure. This, like, the food situation is still going to be very rough for Louis. He did make a mill there on those deer, but that's the part where B is actually going to be attacking from. And Louis, he's going to have to potentially, like, rush up that farm transition. That could kill him. We're already up to 17 military units here from B, and the count is just climbing insanely quickly now.
And that's the thing, because yeah, Louis can make land snakes, you know, out of the Burgrave Palace. You pronounce it better than I do. But he's able to make those units out of the Burgrave Palace. I just don't know, based on how many Onabugisha are here. I mean, I get that the Burgrave acts like 5 barracks or so, but I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up now that B has a 2-minute head start.
There's one archer out. Villagers, they can't really repair the wall because the Onabagishas also have bonus melee range. So the villagers repairing can easily be sniped from the Onabagishas on the other hand side. A couple of archers are now starting to hurt some of these Onabagishas, but now we also have the Daimyo, the Katana Bannerman arriving here. third layer of walls coming in. B leading the charge with that Katana Bannerman. He's gonna also be able to absorb a lot of these shocks. He doesn't actually take a lot of damage from the archers. And that wall is also gonna be going down really, really soon. And behind that, I mean, Louis, he just invested literally like 300 wood into those walls. 2 villagers go down in a heartbeat. And these other geishas, they're gonna be in. They haven't actually been upgraded yet to veterancy. That upgrade is only coming in right now.
Yeah, it will be up pretty quickly just because I would imagine he's using the Arshir barracks in order to do it. But this food that LoueMT really relied upon here, he wanted to get a lot of those deer. He wanted to get those berries. Not going to be able to get them anymore. So what's Louis got to do? You know, I mean, he's gotten 1 or 2 of those berry patches that are right in front of his walls, you know, so they might be quote unquote safe, but it's going to force him to do things like a farm transition. And Crackedy, it all comes back to the lack of sheep. Earlier in the game, he had to go out earlier for those. Now he's going to be stuck on food.
Now, B can't really finish the game off right now due to all of the outposts there, or rather that one outpost, the TCs. Louis could potentially just hide inside of those. A lot of archer fire will take down these honorable geishas, but that's where B is now going into the samurai. We're seeing a lot of the upgrades coming in, veterancy on the samurai as well. I think actually that might just be the normal samurai upgrade there coming in beforehand. Odachi also in queue already. And with that, these samurai, they're going to quite pack a punch. Not only is that +4 damage against the men-at-arms, but also against the archers. So archers will fall very, very quickly.
Yeah, this is such a good idea from B sprinkling these in. You know, just they're able to tank a little bit from the men-at-arms that are there. You know, they would be able to tank if Louis did decide to make those land snakes. He would be able to, you know, tank a little bit of fire from those a little bit better than the Onobugisha can. So having those men-at-arms is really going to help, or those samurai, excuse me, they're really going to help. Louis trying to wall up again, trying to get another 3 layers of that onion, which we're calling his base at this point. He's just not going to get there in time. Onobugishas are going to be there. Men-at-arms are going to try to help out, but there's just too many here. They're just going to run right past them. They don't even care about those men-at-arms at all.
Yeah, the Onobugisha, with their insane movement speed, just run past those men-at-arms right on top of the archers. And they're taken down really, really quickly. At the same time, though, also a lot of Onobugishas are losing their life here. The rematch, though, behind that, there's still so many units flowing across, and this is where this map also comes into play on Lipany. There's a lot of berry bushes. The civilization with the biggest, or rather the best gather rate of berries, that's the Japanese.
Yeah, with all those upgrades, it's going to be rather difficult. This seems like a very, very good Japanese map, just like how you said. Now Samurai going to be able to come in. And what's nice is you make any other production buildings, right? For the Japanese, they're still coming out of the barracks. And your macro's relatively the same, right? Because they're going to cost food and gold as well. I don't see heavy maces out of LoueMT's men-at-arms because he was expecting more Onobugisha than anything else. And those men-at-arms are going to go down rather quickly to the samurai, especially because of the armor that the Japanese have and those samurai have. That first hit, it's free, it doesn't count.
Yeah. And now sacred sites all have been captured, all relics have been captured. And Louis, he's struggling right now, trying to get units out. The farm transition has been made in the meantime. But still, the food income, not even close to what B has right now. And now the reinforcements come from the other hand side of the map. Louis, he has to run right now with the military force, and B has the option to just potentially start burning down buildings.
Yeah, what's nice that now that he has the samurai here, they're going to be able to tank some of that fire, right, from the town center, from the outpost. It's not like LoueMT has to... we would have to particularly micro every Onobugisha if he wanted to do the most effective damage. Military count 36 to 11. You see the food dropping per minute from Louis. Every man-at-arms that he gets killed, it's going to be difficult for him to remass. And now with these archers, yeah, they're going to be doing a little bit of kiting. Louis trying to add some crossbowmen as well while doing a farm transition, while getting his wood line raided on the north side as well. This is a travesty. Game easily goes to B for this one. And now, are we smelling that? We smelling a little bit of comeback. It's 2-1 now. And B has the potential in this next game to even out this series.
Yeah, I think this definitely, especially for the mindset, was a much needed win now for B. Able to get a victory of his own on the board. And I gotta say, this matchup, it didn't exactly play out as I envisioned it, but the end result still was very much what I thought would happen here. Relics definitely going to go over to the Japanese. It's just that early mass military production that they have access to. And with that, I mean, yeah, B able to win the game. I gotta say, like this... The walls definitely weren't necessary on the relics, But that was the first time that I actually saw like the the triangle walls coming out on the relics. Like ever since the wall rework that happened, like you can make these walls so much like the angles they can be so much tighter. And
Mhm.
like the triangle walls, I've not seen them before. Like that was really cool. Like you save a lot of wood that way actually. Like 15, like 14 to 18 wood you actually save with that. That can be pretty massive. And now seeing a somewhat classic matchup here. English versus Chinese on Dry Arabia.
Wow, this one's pretty interesting. I know that you are a fan of China and you've played a lot of China. This is something you know, Crackedy. I love you to pieces, but this is something I do hold against you pretty significantly as being a China favorite player. How do you feel when you play as China in the tops of the ladder like you are and you face English? What is your first emotion that you feel? Do you feel like you got into a good matchup? Do you feel like, ugh, this is going to be a wreck? Give me your mindset when you cue into English.
Well, it's sort of like that one scene in Call of Duty. You got like this little objective popping up. Objective survive. Because you gotta survive against that early longbowman push up against that early aggression. One point I do gotta make though, Tim, now that you mentioned me playing China, look at whose main civilization has been banned on both sides. Which civilization is clearly more broken than China? Yeah, it's talking of Sean here. So you
Okay,
gotta take that as well. I mean,
okay.
John, pretty strong at the moment. But yeah, we do have here the Chinese versus English. It is that situation, right? Like you gotta survive that early aggression coming out from the Chinese. Those longbows have an insane amount of range. You do have to um, like brace against that early aggression from the Chinese, from the English, because if English are able to completely shut down any one of your resources, like whether it's gold, whether it's food, whether it's wood, China will struggle. And they can do that with that incredible range on the longbowmen. Not only do they have one bonus damage, they also have two extra range compared to normal archers. So they have the potential to, for one, outrange outposts on the resource and just like surround wood lines, hit with like line of sight here and there. Um, English do start to look, China does start to look a lot better there in Castle Age. They get the Palace Guards. Palace Guards, granted, they have like one less pierce armor, so longbowmen do particularly well there. But longbows are also slower, and Palace Guards are particularly fast. So Palace Guards do a great job of like catching longbows if they're out of position. And yeah, that's kind of where it goes. I think English, they do have to hard commit to feudal age. English definitely has to hard commit to feudal age against China. And if they're able to like completely deny one resource, that's when it becomes really, really tough for China to come back.
Yeah, I noticed the kind of power spike that China gets in Castle Age, especially. I mean, you're talking about the palace guards. Yeah, let's not forget the siege that Chinese have. You know, having the clock tower nest of bees, and for how tanky they are, for how many springolds you need for this patch. You know, this is going to be the last week that we end up seeing it. You know, how many springolds it takes to take down a clock tower nest of bees, because I know that makes me lose a decent amount of sleep, those clock tower nest of bees. But now we're heading into game number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, in a 2-1 series lead for LoueMT. His opponent, B, is going to be playing as the Chinese on the western side of the map. Louis getting a little aggressive as the English spawning in on the eastern side. Crackedy, that's a barracks, and I think we're going to see some Vanguard men-at-arms coming out.
Indeed, we will. But this could potentially like be something that B probably wouldn't mind. Can we actually take a look at his TC range? Okay, it's not quite covering. It's not quite covering the gold, but that is not going to be the worst case, like the worst situation for the Chinese, because if they actually start like denying the gold, what China can do is they can mass drop off food on their mill and then do a move that I like to call tax evasion, because they every time you drop off a resource at one of their drop off buildings, you generate one tax minimum. So even if you only drop off one food, you generate one tax. And with that, China actually has the option to very quickly be able to like go up to feudal age without even gathering any gold. But looking at this right now, it looks like B, he's playing the no IO feudal age build here that we saw from Louis as well. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that build. He did, however, send a lot of villagers over to gold, so he should be able to gather enough gold for his feudal age. I'm I'm on the ropes about this build. I think personally it lacks a little bit of like mobility, or rather like flexibility when it comes to reacting to certain other builds. I wonder how well he like B is going to be able to play this now that he like doesn't have that initial plus 20% income there, because it actually does make a big difference. Sure, you
Well-
save, like you get one villager as well, but you also delay your Song Dynasty. I'm personally just really not a big fan of this build, I gotta say.
Well, I'll tell you what, Crackedy, you talked about tax evasion by getting the IO to supervise the mill and get those big tax drops off. This is real tax evasion. There's no taxes at all here. You know, we don't even have an IO. And I think, yeah, it does make it a little difficult, right? There's not as much flexibility in your Civ, you know, especially because the IO, yeah, you want to supervise that mill, right? Later in the game, you might want to supervise wood to get something like your production buildings going rather quickly. So I think it's going to be a little difficult for B. Might this be because LoueMT has a Vanguard Men-at-Arms? He put 5 on gold. He made sure he got his gold up there. He did a really good job of that. But he's going to need to do a little bit of something, whether make an IO or try to fight for that gold if he wants to make Song Dynasty.
I feel like this game is gonna become a little rough actually for Louis now. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's no sheep. There's no sheep. Louis doesn't have enough sheep in order to go up to Feudal Age.
No.
He doesn't have sheep. He's
Oh
on
my
wood.
gosh.
He's on wood with all the villagers. Oh my god. This is... I mean, we saw how many sheep B had behind his scout, but... I didn't think it would be that bad for Louis. He just didn't drop off the sheep in time, and he just didn't find it. Look at how many sheep B has in his base. Oh my god. This is so tough. Super tough now.
That's the kind of stuff, I don't know about you, Crackedy, but that's the kind of stuff when I play this game that gets right into my head. You're 3 minutes into the game, you've barely found any sheep, and I know as the English, yeah, okay, you know, maybe they don't need as much sheep because they do their farm transition and all that kind of stuff, but they still need to farm. Or they still need to make the farms and do that transition and do that at some point. So having that lack of sheep in order to transition yourself very seamlessly through it, man, this would sit in my head for the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, this really hurts. We're looking at a 4-minute H-up now. 4 minutes where Louis clicks the H-up. Usually one single Man-at-Arm doesn't set you back like 2 minutes. It sets you back like 1 minute. So Louis, an entire minute later to Feudal Age, as he would have liked to be, in a matchup where he needs to play aggressive, this hurts tremendously right now. And where's the Man-at-Arm right now from Louis? I see a green dot at the market. What? Okay.
Seeing the sights, that's great. Maybe
Scouting the map?
trying to check the next Dry Arabia over. As you see, he's right near the border. Maybe wants to take a peek at what's going on for maybe map number 5. But for this, for that Vanguard Men-at-Arms too, I mean, yeah, he tried to get a little bit of aggression going, but I think because of that, maybe because he spent that 100 wood, didn't really have, you know, the sheep. We're looking at economic count of 24 to 21. Was there a little bit of idle time on Louis' side? Or does that just count the IOs for Chinese?
There must have been idle time, right? Like, he has to make a farm transition like 4 minutes into the game. I believe there must have been significant idle time for him on that TC, and that truly, truly hurts a lot. Like Louis, he's starting the set very, very far behind. Yeah, the IOs also play in there. Yeah, true. He made all the IOs. Yeah, never mind. You're right. All the IOs. Okay. Usually you're not that far ahead right now, China. It comes in once you reach Song. There hasn't been Song at all, so Chad is right here in this situation. The IOs, they do make up the difference there.
Well, we do know that Twitch chat is Conqueror 7, whether we choose to believe it or otherwise. So
it's weird. This entire game is so weird right now compared to what we usually see. Like, I definitely could have imagined there being idle time with Louis just not having sheep there for a lot of the time. B though, it's also weird now that he doesn't go for Song Dynasty at all, because that's also where one of the main strengths is from China. This kind of completely invalidates the, like, you kind of immediately get rid of the one benefit that you have with the 4 IO opening, or rather with the early Imperial Academy with the non-IO opening.
Yeah, this makes it, I don't know. This makes it, I mean, obviously we talked about, you know, the problems with sheep with Louis, and it just means that early game, because we talked about this matchup, right? English has to get the ball rolling, right? They get some longbowmen, they get some spearmen, they try to take aggressiveness and feudal, and in a game that's only just about eclipsing the 7th minute, Louis has not made any strides of aggression. And now there's a giant 5,000 hit point outpost going to be coming up for China. The Barbican of the Sun's going to be there. Horseman trying to get a little bit of a raid, but Louis, he's being defensive in this particular situation. He has spearmen, but
Barbican gets torched by the scout there. Okay, now he's building it.
it's going to take a lot of torches, that's for sure. But with LoueMT now being defensive as the English 7 minutes of the game, you really don't want to be in this spot.
Yeah, it definitely hurts him a lot. I feel like behind this could also just pivot into fast castle age. We do see him now making archers, so now it's going to be a little bit more of an aggressive situation. Maybe he just was a little bit confused by how food-starved Louis was in the end, like with the late H-up. But Louis is still playing like a lot of units. He's still making a lot of units, bringing a lot of units out on the field. He's getting economy upgrades. He's getting in a spot where English still doesn't feel that bad, like having 2 farm clusters up already. And I think Louis right now, he's just making units and trying to also go up to Castle Age behind upgrades, slowly but surely. And because B actually hasn't been on Song Dynasty for the last 3 minutes as he could have been, he's not that far ahead with villagers.
Right. I mean, for the Song Dynasty, even though they're full price, they're going to be a little bit quicker for those villagers to come out. So we will see that villager lead, or, economic lead, as you see those villagers every 15 seconds instead of 20. You're going to see it at 4, but probably a little bit later, maybe about 3-4 minutes, we're going to see that bump up. It's not going to be 4, it's going to be 7 or 8. And by the time Louis does go up to Castle Age, if he chooses to at the King's Palace, he's going to need to play catch up.
We are seeing B now macro up to Castle Age, so Castle Age should be coming in soon. One great tech to have really early on in from the Imperial Academy is the one where you suddenly start being able to pick up to 80 gold from your text buildings. You got that relatively early now, and now the archers are making a move. Villager going down, so that's 1 villager kill here. Lose a lot of the archers as well. But behind that, B is going to be moving up to Castle Age very, very quickly here now with the Astronomical Clock Tower behind all of these units that he made.
And this just goes to show, this is a really good heads-up play by B, too. Especially that little bit of, I want to call it pseudo-aggression. He has a little bit of horsemen, he has a little bit of archers. Haven't seen a regular Chinese archer in a minute, I'll be honest with you. But having those units and just having that little bit of aggression, he's not trying to win the game right now. He's just making sure that Louis sits in his base. He can go up to Castle Age very smoothly. 9.5 minutes, right? He could start pumping out those clock tower siege apparatuses if he chooses to. But now that he's sitting on 1 town center, you might be able to get relics because the map's opened up to you. English is already walled, right? For B in the Castle Age, you can get things like Lancers that can help him out. I mean, against Feudal Age Spearmen and how many there are, it might not be the best, but definitely against those Longbowmen. And for what you have in your army already, this is looking good for B. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a snowball from him here.
Mm-hmm. We're now also getting some Blackness upgrade. Couple of knights coming out. Veterancy on the archers in queue as well. Louis behind the 2 farm clusters, adding in a couple more farms. 3rd farm cluster is also now going to be on the way. Full wall's about to come in, so the knights shouldn't really achieve too much here. B probably needs to pivot into men-at-arms if he really wants to push into Louis' base here, because there's a lot of spearmen out right now.
Yeah, and that's so good against feudal English. For the Chinese, having something like Palace Guards, you're going to be able to, like we talked about a little bit before while this game was in lobby, being able to chase down those longbowmen. You can chase down spears and all of that kind of stuff. Louis trying to get aggressive in feudal age. Just about before the 11th minute hits, he's got that giant Barbican that's taking, that's controlling that gold and controlling that stone. And I think for Louis, there really isn't anywhere for this mass to go.
Yeah, and he probably needs to head back to his base. Kudos actually to him for noticing that. He pushed B's army back all the way to his base, but then he also went back because he doesn't want to stick around for too long, because the upgrades are now in. We have +2 ranged armor on these knights, on these archers, on these horsemen as well. So they'll take a lot less damage from these longbowmen now. And Louis behind that also going to be on his way up to Castle Age soon.
Yeah, I mean, he will. It just depends on what he's able to actually do with it. You know, I mean, we're seeing B, he's adding some stone in as well. He's got about 400 in stops, so he's probably going to be going for a second town center. Now taking this fight with some Castle Age units against Feudal. Really like that Archer mass from B, going to be able to take down a lot of these Spearmen. You have the mobility of the horses that you're seeing B do with this absolute perfect micro. He tries to get around there, tries to go a little bit of a choke point, and then there's a little bit of a caster's curse as he stops and all those horses go down.
Yeah, the perfect micro. I mean, he did do a lot of damage to these knights, and these are all like weak knights now that he's microing back. Definitely not the greatest engagement. I like how little damage the archers took there with the +2 armor there. Meant that actually it took like, it would have taken like +2 lombos in order to be able to one-shot the archers. Wasn't the case, so Louis actually took a lot longer to clean up those archers than he probably should have.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, although they went down, there's still some archer reinforcements for B, right? We'll be able to take down some of those spearmen. You can see Louis going up with the King's Palace as he takes this engagement. Looks like he will get in on those longbowmen. Archers might be able to take down a lot of those spears. There's one very at bad health, and now with just those 1 or 2 lancers, one of them with very good micro at 2 health gets pulled back. But now with no spearmen back here, those longbowmen have to run back to that English base, tail between their legs. And Louis, again, does not have anything like map control. There's that Vanguard Men-at-Arms 1 minute in, trying to take some hits on some Chinese villagers, but not getting there. And Crackedy, take a look at that economic count now as that second town center hasn't been able to pump villagers out for the Chinese. But because of Song Dynasty, it's 51 to 43. B knows that Louis is going to be going with the King's Palace and adding a second town center. He adds a second of his own, so that economic quote-unquote bleeding for the English and this small increase for the Chinese is going to keep going.
Yeah. 5 villager lead in theory right now with the Imperial officials, but Louis is now on the second TC, so slowly but surely should be able to inch his way ahead when it comes to the villager count. Never mind, second TC has gone up for B behind all of that. And with that, his villager count is going to skyrocket. 2 TC Song now. I don't think Louis noticed that.
And I think, you know, if we take a look at B's base here, yeah, he hasn't done anything like walls, you know, but he doesn't really need to because he has all the map control, right? He's being super aggressive, so he doesn't need to do anything like walls, but it also means for the Chinese that they can go out and get those outside food resources. They could delay a granary transition just a little bit, right? So it means that he can continuously pump units. He doesn't have to slow the tempo of his game. He can do things like get that map control. I see that monastery over there for the Chinese, so he's able to get relics as well. It just means B is doing a very good job of not only getting the map control, but exploiting the resources that the map has to offer.
Yeah, relics surely soon to be coming in for B. He's pumping out a lot of these monks. 3 monks overall total will be out on the field, combined with the ones that he has in queue. The farming economy for Louis right now is looking good, but the wood income miles and miles ahead for B, so I think we're probably going to be seeing a couple of nests of Bs coming in shortly as well, in order to really like go for an all-in push now. Not that it's needed like an all-in push, it's going to be like a systematic like bit by bit pushing into the base from B.
Yeah, and because, I mean, when you're going against the English, just doing that all in and pushing right into that English base, remember, there's still network of castles there, you know? So maybe, you know, Louis, he has spearmen, he has some longbowmen, and they have a decent amount of range, but you gotta remember, they're attacking at 20% faster than a lot of those. So maybe an all-in push, usually for the English, means you might be able to defend it, and they're one of the best civs at defending it, and then they counter-push you, right? So if he does this, right? He's just being annoying. He's trying to take down these walls, maybe get a couple bill kills along the way. You're just continuously hemorrhaging English, and it's almost like a death by 1,000 paper cuts situation.
Yeah, wall is gonna go down soon. Still, it's only knights and archers right now. Crossbows have come out for Louis in the meantime. The longbowmen haven't been upgraded. Still, never mind. The longbow upgrade did come in the meantime, so we do have veterancy longbows there as well. Right now, it's just this mass of infantry that English loves to make, and he's just sitting right now in the base. Choke points will help him a lot when it comes to defending there. B, though, pulling ahead massively right now with the villagers due to that second TC. Granary transition is on its way as well. So B, his economy is starting to look super scary here. 1700 food per minute right now for him.
Yeah, you know Crackedy as somebody who plays Chinese. If you can incrementally and systematically get a granary transition without just having to throw all of your granaries and farms down at once, while having some outside food resources at the same time, you know you're in a good spot as the Chinese.
Yeah, 100%. First nest of B is going to be in the queue now as well. Crossbows coming in too. Right as Louis is starting to mix in a couple more men-at-arms. And Louis actually out on the map there when it comes to the gold before his first gold mine got exhausted. Also still actively scouting. 4 relics have already been collected by B here. 5th relic is very, very safe for him inside his base. A single man-at-arm now going for a raid there. That's actually a little bit annoying. Villager going down there.
Those Chinese villagers are standing around. I know that deer was, pretty much finished, but those Chinese villagers are standing around looking at that men-at-arms being like, whose man is this? Get him out of here. We have so many villagers. We have a granary transition we got to do. Now they're getting their steps in and walking all the way at that one men-at-arms, that 100 food and 20 gold did a lot of work.
Villagers are moving all the way over to the second tier spot now. He once again trying to push through the middle here. Men-at-arms now in the mix as well. Spearman in front as well. Longbowman just hiding forward. Dishing out damage against the archers, but there's an SFB. Big shot comes out on the crossbow mass here. And Louis splitting up his units, trying to minimize the damage. Men-at-arms trying to go for that nest of bees now. Knights right on them. Looks like the men-at-arms should be able to take the nest of bees down, but men-at-arms will go down to the knights here. Louis actually still taking a really good fight.
Look how tanky that nest of bees was in that matchup, however. I mean, yeah, a lot of that range mass from Louis ends up staying alive, but that nest of bees probably got off another 2 shots when I really didn't expect it to. There were 5 or 6 men-at-arms kind of surrounding it. Louis able to defend a little bit, right? Network of castles kind of helping out. Maybe he's trying to extend a little bit, give himself a chance to breathe, but he's going to look back, and if he sees anything about what's going on in China's base, it feels like China's set up for late game already.
Yeah, having all the sacred sites, having all the relics. Actually, the 5th relic hasn't been taken yet by B. It's right next to the second TC. Still hasn't been taken yet. It's actually blocking his granaries a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of a win-win if you pick that one up. Having relic number 5, you get that gold permitted, and you'll be able to make some farms around it. And a lot of these villagers now might not be as safe. Louis got a little bit of breathing room. He's got, it looks like a couple more beehives out on the map, and it will make good work against a lot of English units because in Castle Age, they love making foot soldiers. They love their crossbowmen, longbows. They make their men-at-arms. They usually don't go for stable too much unless it's a fast castle, but Louis now starting to. He's adding some English horsemen, and you got to know you're in a good spot if the English is starting to make horsemen against you.
Yeah. I'm looking at people right now saying that knights are too weak. You did realize that they were both spearmen and crossbows in Louis' army, right? Right? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was the ultimate knight counter, of the army that Louis chose to make, and now starting to get into horsemen just a little bit, but B going for more of a palace guard route. Looks like Louis does have a decent amount of crossbowmen. I don't see any network of castles here. This could be a relatively good fight. Horsemen trying to get a flank around the east side, trying to take down these nest of bees. As long as he has enough units to kind of surround these nest of bees, they might be in good shape, but one definitely going down. They get a surround on that back one. That range mass is going to be able to come up a little bit, and all of a sudden, all of these nest of bees, maybe besides one, I think one might end up getting saved, but that's a lot of resources that just turned into a pile of firewood on the ground, Crackedy.
Yeah, that's 1,800 resources suddenly going down there. Nest of bees, one is remaining with very, very little health, going down now as well, and all the other units, all the supporting infantry went down with it. Louis, with the really nice split there on the army, making sure that all of his, the spread on the army, making sure that he can't take, too much damage from these nest of bees. Still,
and the thing is,
gone.
Louis making a bunch of anti-heavy units, right? He has crossbowmen, he has men-at-arms that are going to take the brunt of a lot of hits, he's adding some spearmen that are going to help him out. It just seems like what B is doing, making palace guards and making knights, he's got to make a switch at some point. Those crossbowmen are eating him alive.
Yeah, he's got his own crossbows, and you can't really go for your own archers as well, since there are men-at-arms, which do have +2 armor for the English. Horsemen in there as well. It's really tough adding in your own archers here. It's gonna have to just be mass nest of bees and palace guards for him. Villagers getting sniped before the outpost goes up. Nest of bees setting itself up for another couple of shots there. Palace Guards this time, protecting the SFBs, making sure that this time an SFB won't go down to those couple of horsemen there. Trying to take shots, but an SFB is going to be a little bit too tanky here to go down.
Look at these splits from Louis right now. All those crossbowmen, and most of them end up staying alive throughout the duration of this battle. It feels like for B, it doesn't matter how many beehives he has, he just can't get a good shot. He can't get a good shot on them. And now, I mean, B, because he has the economic lead, he took a lot of these quote-unquote bad trades. You know, he took a lot of these quote-unquote lost battles. But that doesn't mean that he loses the war, right? Because he can just continuously pump all of these units over and over again. And Louis really doesn't have the potential to right now. He's still trying to get villagers. He's not up past that 100 economic count level yet.
Behind all of that, Louis is also trying to raid every now and then here and there with his cavalry out on the map. Very nice, splitting B's attention, and yeah, B finally able to clear up one raid, but Louis surely at one point is just going to raid on another side as well.
Yeah, I really like this from Louis. I mean, having counter raids trying to get yourself back into the game, right? You know that B has an economic advantage just because he's 2 TC Song Dynasty, so you got to even the count somehow, right? And villagers, surprisingly, a lack of villager kills. You see 6 on one side, 7 on the other. But I think with how many Bs there are now, and he can continuously make them, he's got 5, another one in the queue. They're probably all of Clock Tower origin. I think Network of Castles be damn Crackedy. I think B's got too much.
Yeah, now Horseman, it looks like Louis is going to try and wrap around, but the barracks, they're going to block all of his units here. Production is creating such a big choke point here, and the SFBs, he's just not able to touch them. Might actually need to delete the barracks here if he really wants to get on top of them. But his massive infantry might actually be enough here to push B back. With the spread formation on his units, and SFBs just aren't able to get that much value. One goes down, Springle's in the mix as well, taking SFBs down. And Louis is actually able to potentially push B back out of his base here.
This is insane. The fact that Louis is able to do this continuously. I mean, yeah, he has defender's advantage, but I think this is just showing the power of English and how English can be such a defensive civ and being able to make sure their villagers back home are safe. If I were a villager and I had to pick a civ to live in, I'd probably pick English.
Yeah. I think B, he needs to start thinking about Castle Age and just massing Palace Guards and trying to raid, because raiding is really where he can turn this game around against the English, because right now English, they're starting to get into that position that they really like. Like they got the military superiority. That if they're able to go up to Imperial Age and get the enclosures upgrade for their farms, they can be in a really, really good position here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the very frustrating thing when you're playing against English, right? You get to Imperial Age English, they get their gold from their farms, they get their food from their farms. Where do they need to go outside of their base? You know, in terms of raiding potential against the English, you're really not going to find it, right? Because everything's inside and they're going to have network of castles to kind of help them out. But now with the military count of 44 to 28, B is continuously trying to pump units. He's getting Palace Guards. He's actually adding some Springolds in as well, because Louis is adding his own siege. This might be a time for Louis. Yeah, he can get to Imperial, and it looks like he's macroing there. But now, as he does hit Imperial, he finally has, for the first, it feels like for the first time in this game, he has a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, it's been very much non-stop aggression here for the entire first half of the game, from B onto Louis. That's kind of the thing, though, right? Where Louis' civilization, they're fine being on the defensive. They're very much fine with it, and Louis played it fantastically, being able to hold out for that long. Berkshire is now being built. 20 villagers are moving onto that one. We got Springles here on the front side as well, so an SFB should probably not be getting too much value in here as well. Let's not forget that the English, the English Springles are just about one of the strongest in the game right now, as soon as you get like the aura on them as well. But at the same time, we got a Clock Tower Springle here as well. Louis Springles are getting sniped. Berkshire, he's just sacrificing his army right now in order to be able to get the Berkshire out. 23 villagers hammering away at that. Once the Berkshire is up, B is gonna have to like forgo this side and attack from the upper side, because from this angle he will not be able to push through.
And that's, Louis did that so perfectly. He held for just enough time so those villagers can park themselves into that Berkshire, and now that Berkshire, we know how big of a radius, how big of a tile range that thing has. It can fire arrows. Look at this. B's army is retreating all the way to the west. The Berkshire's almost off the camera and taking hits on a lot of those crossbowmen, a lot of those men-at-arms. So you're exactly right. B's gotta
also
find
the
an
90
area. Oh
gold.
my god, that gold mine is in Narnia, and it's shooting at it. Oh my god, this landmark is something else.
A little right there, but Keep from B is going to protect all of his farming economy. B now also going up to the Imperial Age. It really needs to come down to like the situation where Louis right now, he doesn't have stone walls up. And okay, he's working on it. He's working on getting some stone walls up. But I say that against China, if you're in Imperial Age, or like both players are in Imperial Age, and you don't have full stone walls against China, you're gonna have trouble stopping all the raids, because if you get to that point where you got like all of these palace guards with their 1.38 tiles per second movement speed, potentially up to 1.5 tiles per second of movement speed, if you go Yuan Dynasty, you're gonna have a lot of trouble stopping the raids from coming in.
Oh, from that 1.5 movement speed that you said, a knight has 1.62. So they're borderline knights on foot, running at you, sprinting at you, trying to take down. And especially when we're talking about the English, you get a few palace guards on those farmlands, those golden English fields. That could be a death sentence for you, because that's not only your food, but that's your gold too, right? So now, B, look at how much, oh my god, Crackedy, look how much food per minute he's cranking out. From, you know, obviously those granaries. We had a little bit of raid there on the south side, but now all of those are going to be there. 77 total farms that he has in this game. He had about 4,000 food before. He cashed out about half of it, trying to get the Great Wall Gatehouse, so he will be going up to Imp. It looks like that keep's going to go up because it's a Chinese keep. It gets up in a blink of an eye. B's going to meet him at Imperial Age, and I'll be honest, Crackedy, I don't think this game's ended anytime soon.
I agree. This game is probably got at least another 20 minutes in it. Both players have been so aggressive so far in this game, and they're also like splitting the map up pretty much equally here. 50-50 for every player. Louis has access to the large gold there. B's gonna have to do something about the Berkshire though, because there's a large gold vein that he really wants to gather from and just doesn't have access to right now.
Yeah, that is rough. And I mean, there's about 3,600 left of that 8,000, but it looks like B's trying to make a little bit of a push as he just hit Imperial Age. And he's trying to get to that really soft underbelly of the English Empire, trying to get to those farm fields, maybe trying to get some of those outside food resources. Louis, as the English, that mobility, we talked about it in Feudal Age, isn't exactly there, right? So his army is more like in the middle of the map. It's going to be difficult for him to work his way all the way back. So B, looking for that new angle, like you said, he went from the north side, making sure the Berkshire doesn't fire those arrows at him. That might be a new plan of attack, because if I'm looking on the north side as well, Crackedy, I'm seeing a big gold vein there too.
Yeah, that definitely is something that B could also go for. Does have that gatehouse there as well in the middle, protecting the entire mid-map of the game, of the map for him. And now we're also seeing pyrotechnics coming out, so mass hand cannoneers could be in play for the Chinese very soon. Hand cannoneers with a lot of bonus range. Louis, he's also switching into horsemen now. He's got the elite upgrade for the horsemen. Might just want to try and raid, but the map is pretty much fully stonewalled at this point in time. Little troop here of units from B moving out, trying to get some raid as well. And we should be seeing Yuan Dynasty coming in soon for B.
Yeah, I think the Yuan Dynasty is going to be really, really helpful for him. What's really nice, those Nest of Bs are going to be able to take shots over that stone wall. Elite men-at-arms have to truck their way over to the northern side of the map to make sure a lot of those villages don't go down before the English. But these Nest of Bs doing a good job just making sure, you know, whatever units are here, if there's villagers here, if there's whatever, maybe they'll be able to take good hits on them. Because for Louis, even though, remember a long time ago, enclosures did get nerfed somewhat significantly, so you can't just rely on gold for the rest of the game. You do need a little bit of outside gold if you want to keep pumping out things.
Yeah. Yuan Dynasty here would be great for B, because like if you go Yuan Dynasty, you get unlock the pagodas, and pagodas actually generate more resource per minute than Regnit's Cathedral relics. Instead, we're seeing Spirit. Oh, this is big. This is Giga Brain. We're seeing Spirit Wave first for Ming Dynasty, and after that, he is going to be going for Yuan Dynasty. So he has all dynasties unlocked for the maximum amount of bonus resource that you get with the oh my god, Ancestral Techniques upgrade as well. And then he's going for Yuan Dynasty for the most busted dynasty bonus as well with the plus movement speed. Yeah, there it is, Imperial Palace.
Oh my gosh, that is That is, oh my god, that is 500 IQ from B, and the Spirit Way will be going up, so you get that quick Dynasty, and then you'll be able to Hero Palace again. That's so fantastic. Louis trying to get some raids in the meantime, right? Around those granary fields. Those granary fields are so far out of the way. You know, they're all the way down there on that southwestern side. And even though, you know, you have a keep there, you have a little bit of defenses there that's going to help you out, but, like, this is such a difficult area to raid if you're Louis, isn't it?
It definitely is gonna be, because now B probably sees like half the map there. Oh, a keep has gone out for Louis though. He's attacking the villagers there on the gold from B. B hasn't noticed yet. He's gonna lose a lot of villagers there if he doesn't pull them back. So now he notices, pulls them back. There's not that much gold remaining on the map though. I think at one point in time, B might actually have to start trading here, because Louis, he's getting a lot of passive gold from his farms in. He is getting a lot of gold from tax in. But it's not comparable, not really. It's like, English farms are probably like 2-3 times as good here right now.
Look at those hand cannoneers too, Crackedy. We're talking about the Berkshire and how much range it has. Don't sleep on those hand cannoneers from the Chinese, because their ability to be able to pop off and take out those men-at-arms before they even close the distance is going to be so huge. And we know, you know, this post-imperial English play, they're going to want to go things like men-at-arms. They're going to want to go a lot of a super food-heavy macro, because they're trying to get gold at the same time. Men-at-arms are not going to look good against those Chinese hand cannons.
Yeah, an issue is also that hand cannoneers, like, Yuan Dynasty provides all military and all villagers as well. Like, it's not just infantry. All villagers and all military units, everything except siege and ships, gets plus 15% movement speed. The hand cannoneers are going to be able to catch up to the men-at-arms there. Crossbows are going to be able to catch up to the men-at-arms. The villagers are going to be more efficient on the farms, because now they move at pretty much Yam or like Mongol speed.
Yeah,
like,
because basically,
aren't gonna
it's
achieve
basically
anything.
like an extra wheelbarrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going at that 15%, and it's just, especially when you have granaries, right? And you have farms that take a lot of walk time to deposit those resources back and forth. Although, I don't know how many more deposits these villagers are going to make. There's a good men-at-arms right here. I'm seeing about 9 or 10. You're right, those hand cannoneers are going to catch up, but maybe they'll pick up a couple in the process.
And ancient techniques just came in. Like, that upgrade had been bugged for a very, very long time. Basically, it increases your gather speed by like 4% or 3% for every single dynasty that you've been in. There are 4 dynasties that B has been in. So it's going to be a lot of additional efficiency now on his villagers.
Yeah, it's really nice how, as we see these sprinkles going down, it's really nice how, for the Chinese, especially in that late game economy, everything is so synergistic with itself. You know, you get, you know, okay, there's plus 4% here, and you get another 15% move speed, and then, you know, ancient techniques come in. Then all of a sudden, you're gathering resources, and you're gobbling them up with a vacuum cleaner, and then you're able to consistently pop cap yourself for basically the duration of the game.
We're talking a lot about China though right now. Let's look at what Louis is doing here right now. He's got a lot of units out on the field. He's got a pretty big food bank. He's got a lot of gold as well. Like, he's still very much in this, because English, they do find themselves in the late game a lot, and they're comfortable there. Even though B has 5 relics, a lot of them now in pagodas as well, this is still not over. English are definitely one of these civilizations in the game that can still come back even after that horrendous start with only 3 sheep that Louis had. We're still in this, like, we got to this point in the game from that start.
Yeah, and I mean, for Louis, in the English, it's all about how defensive you could be, right? I mean, B, yeah, he's got a little bit of siege, you know, he has a good military mass, but that English base is so challenging to get through, because not only, I mean, obviously you have Berkshire here that's going to help you out, but now that network of castles, most likely, is network of citadels. So instead of plus 20%, it's plus 40%. So they can stay defensive, they can have a military disadvantage for some time, and still win fights. So this is just, it ends up being a stalemate.
Louis getting through these walls is pretty huge for him, because now he's in a position where he can potentially get some raids in. He's trying to get another keep up, trying to defend his farming economy there. He still has a lot of food in the bank, so this isn't going to kill him. He still also has 2 TC songs, so not 2 TC song, but 2 TC Yuan Dynasty now. So he can still like reboom. Louis still causing a lot of distraction right now. Like, B right now, he would really want to start raiding his opponent. He can't really do that right now, just because there's so many fires in his own base that he needs to, like, deal with. even though he's faster, he's still having trouble like catching up to all of these units right now, just because Louis, he's not fighting, he's running through.
Yeah, and I mean, he did have that one keep, and I think that one on the north side will end up getting taken down. But look at this. B uses pretty much his entire army. I'm pretty sure this is the majority, if not all, of his military mass, chasing 10 men-at-arms on the corner of the map. Right? So Louis can do things like mass up his own army. Yeah. I mean, Louis can mass up his own army. He's doing things like making more rams, so he's able to make more areas to get through and get some raiding. Look at all these palace guards. This is like am I in Barcelona? This is like a bull run.
It looks like B has noticed though, and now he's gonna pull the majority of his army towards other sides where he can start doing some pressure. He's also got some emplacements here on these outposts, making sure that that gold mine is not going to be mined by Louis much longer. And now in the middle of the map, in front of the farming economy, Louis is now setting up his own keep here potentially, but the military force from B, it's all here now. And I don't think that Louis will be able to get that keep up.
No, this keep isn't a Chinese keep, right? It's going to be the same kind of speed. He does end up deleting it. Knows that that first one was a little bit cheeky, but now we have a big battle. Those men-at-arms, with all their armor, they're trying to make sure they can carve through, try to get through some of these palace guards. Horsemen bypassing those palace guards of B pretty much entirely. Wants to take down these nest of bees. Villagers are trying to repair it, but they're not going to get there in time. All those villagers end up sticking around. The only thing we have is a hand cannon mass in the back. English men-at-arms making really quick work of those palace guards because of that iron Chad armor, and boy are they the Chaddies making down that front line. For LoueMT, he's able to continually produce this, while this keep is going to be able to go up, and now Louis has a front forward position with network of citadels. That's a huge battle for him.
Yeah, palace guards, I mean, they are faster, but in these head-to-head engagements, they're going to lose to the men-at-arms. Not only do they have more armor, as you mentioned, but they also have that plus bonus like to the attack speed. They're attacking super quickly compared to these palace guards. Palace guards, they're really a unit that you need to use to raid. These head-to-head engagements, they just don't really work out too well for them. Did Louis delete some of his villagers? He's down to sub 100 villagers right now. Maybe he just lost them to, maybe they were on the gold mine at the top side with the emplacements where he lost them. But now the mass of horsemen is just running through the base from B right now. Oh, we need to be careful. Mangonel gets some great shots in there on the hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers going down in mass there to that one Mangonel. And Louis, he's taking the fight under the keep, convincingly so. The Rams! They're taking down the farms!
Oh my god, those Rams, they're just ramming down wheat fields or rice paddies, whatever the Chinese are having to be farming. This is an absolute massacre. And now, he has to take time to rebuild some of those farms, put them in different places. You're not going to have the granary, extra food buff that you really have. These Rams are worth their weight in wood. B going to be able to repel just a little bit. It looks like LoueMT trying to get as much siege, you know, trying to get some mangonels because those horsemen surround. You know, he had like 20-some horsemen trying to get those hand cannoneers. Those hand cannoneers as a DPS unit, they're just so strong. You know, and even
Louis,
with these horsemen, you're not going to be able to surround them.
And Louis behind this, like this push was really crazy from him, but it also was so expensive. He exhausted most of his food bank with it, and now he's in position to push in. These bombards as well, they got the upgrade. They're attacking a lot faster right now than your normal bombards as well. And he, with this force that he has right now, Firelance as well, finally, he can probably start thinking about raiding the economy from Louis himself.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of an overextend from Louis. I mean, I understand you want to get in the face of those granaries, but now that front keep is gone, that you spent that stone, a lot of your keep is gone. He has to go back into the mass. Population difference is huge. Crackedy, it's 198, or basically capped. For B, it's 153 for Louis. Like you said, when you get to this part of the game, we're 40 minutes into the game, it's not a resource float anymore. It's a stockpile. And if I want to take a look at stockpiles, I'm giving the edge to B.
Yeah, the army on the field right now also looks superior for B at this point in time. Mangonel gets some shots off on those hand cannoneers that are flying all around those bombard cannons, but the Berkshire is very likely to be going down here now.
Yeah, I mean, look at the horsemen. They tried to get us around. There's hand cannoneers that are supposed to be the quote-unquote counter. It's a ranged unit, right? The DPS of those hand cannoneers are way too much. And honestly, for all of those horsemen, it just felt like a bunch of wasted food. That Berkshire is not a red palace. It can't shred through things like bombards. Now it is going down. Louis is going to have to back up. He's got villagers backing up as well. Population count at 141, and it's dropping.
And now B has access to that large gold mine again. There was around 4,000 gold remaining in that, so now he's going to be able to gather all of that up again. Palace Guards, he's smashing out Fire Lancers, Hand Cannoneers. Bombard's at the front. He has all the tools now that he needs in order to push this in. And Louis, he's messing up his own horsemen, his own Hand Cannoneers now. Notices that just the pure melee frontline that he went with earlier, it's not going to be enough in order to stem this flood that B has going right now.
Yeah, and I don't think for the English, I don't think those elite horsemen are going to make much of a difference. Fire Lancers trying to get a little bit of a raid. Louis does have 2 Springolds here, but when you have more bombards and your opponent does Springolds, you got to be in pretty good shape, and we're going to see those bombards trying to take it down. Horsemen on that flank over there on the eastern side. It looks like they're trying to make up the front line just because those men-at-arms need a little bit of a help. They're trying to get it on hand cannoneers. They're continuing to drop like flies. Villagers are coming up from B. I'm not sure if we're trying to get a repair here on some of those bombards, and we are. We might be able to see there's a front keep. B is getting a base keep up on the northern part of your screen while this battle is happening. B is saying, get the hell out of my game.
Yeah, B finally going for that all-in push. 74 military units compared to 30 right now. And look at the production. B, so many units still in queue. Louis, he's not able to keep up with that. And finally, it looked like B, it looked so over from the get-go. So many sheep that he had compared to Louis. The tempo was there throughout the entire time. And it looks like now, finally, Louis, he's done such a great job of holding so far. He's done such a great job of pushing back, getting the raids and pushing B to the absolute limits here in this matchup. But finally, B, after 40 minutes in this game, in a position to close it out potentially. And with that, GG gets called. B is going to able to equal out the series 2-2 now in this best of 7.
I'll tell you what, just as a sidebar, this is how you know Crackedy is a professional. He called it within 2 seconds of this game getting called. Just honestly, I need an applause in chat for Crackedy because that was amazing. Second of all, if we're taking a look at what happened throughout the duration of this game, it seemed like Louis was on the back foot for a decent amount. Louis tried to get up front, tried to get aggressive, overextended just a little bit on those granaries. And I think when you're playing as the English, getting aggressive really doesn't feel like your MO. You really, if you get defensive, you're able to take a good fight, and then you can counter push after it. That can help you out. Louis might have just with that overextended could have cost him. And for also Crackedy, as we foreshadowed with the first couple minutes in the game, maybe it was the sheep.
Yeah, I mean the sheep they definitely set like Louis up for a game where he can't go for like that really early feudal age push that English really wants to do against China in that matchup. They just couldn't go for it. Instead, the game did go out long. And Louis did an amazing job there, going for the raids, like really getting back into that game. It really looked close there at multiple points throughout the game. And man, it's English really looked strong there for a good portion, but in the end, Louis wasn't able to close it out. I feel like the early tempo definitely kind of set the game up there, and in the end, B played the game in a way that he usually doesn't, and it really worked out well there for him. He got the stone walls up, he got the keeps up on these crucial resources, securing the map control, and yeah, with that, able to win the game there in the long run.
And you know what the best part about B winning the game in the long run here on game number 4? Usually I don't talk about China wins in such a positive light, but we're tied now, ladies and gentlemen. 2-2. We were thinking, oh man, Louis might steamroll this. He was 2-0. He had some good civ picks. There were good matchups going up against him. He knew how to play his map. He knew, kind of the right things to do in terms of aggression. B was not going to sit down. He wasn't going to get 4-0'd. And he ended up taking game 3 and game number 4. Now, on 5, we talked about this map. We talked about this map a little bit before this series started. It's bridges. We're going to see some bridges. We're going to see some any civil engineers in chat. Hello. This is the map for you. We got some bridges. Yeah. They're going to be able to go down. They're going to be able to get rebuilt. And now we have 2 civilizations that particularly like to do things like get a fast castle. We got a little bit of Ayubids. We got a little bit of Japan. What do you think about this one, Crackedy?
Bridges get stitches potentially if they go down. And at the same time, we also have a little bit of a redraft going on now. 4 games into this best of 7 with so many civilizations, it's not quite enough. We do need to draft again in order to like actually play throughout all of this. And in this one, in this set of the draft, we actually picked Delhi first. We got John that went through for Louis. China banned for both players. Byzantines actually banned for B. Instead, Louis got Byzantines this time around. And now we're going to be seeing Ayubids versus Japan on bridges. So that's also going to be a very interesting matchup. 2 civilizations that really enjoy going for a fast castle age. But recently, we've seen the Ayubids also hang around a little bit longer throughout that feudal age. Get a couple of units out, do some damage here and there, get some horsemen out, and yeah, really just try and take map control early and then follow up with a really nice castle age timing.
And you know what's really nice about the Ayubids too is, and I've noticed too as playing the Ayubids, when you get to a feudal age and you start doing things like getting military wing, you get those desert raiders for free every couple minutes. You pop one out. Maybe you could set the tone. You know, you get a little bit of tempo there. You make Japan have to not go for a completely naked fast castle, and I'm glad that's not going to be naked, so you can actually show it on Twitch. But when you get to the Japan and they want to get a castle age, they want to get their first production building, they want to make units in castle age. You have them sit in feudal and you do things like get a couple horsemen just to make sure those desert raiders don't go down. You have to do things, you know, you just kind of you have to make a little bit of derivations to your play. And that's something that the Ayubids could take a little bit of control of. They set the tempo, they get to castle age early. But Japan does have those castle age units. When they actually get there, they could take a good battle towards the Ayubids as well.
Definitely so. Something that is probably not going to work here, just looking at the matchup and the kind of toolkit that the units, that the civilizations have here. So every now and then we do see, for example, the opener with Japan fast castle into just mass mounted samurai. That probably doesn't work as well against the Ayubids because they do get that Desert Raider, 5 melee armor already in feudal age, a lot of bonus damage against cavalry, fast attack speed on top of that, potential to like fire a ranged arrow first to like remove the reflective, like the reflective armor, deflective armor, and then switch into melee form to do a lot of damage. Also, the Desert Raider is actually one of the best units to use against the Honorable Geishas as well, with that 5 melee armor.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Crackedy. And a lot of people with a Desert Raider, you might not notice that. You know, it has such a difference between melee and ranged armor because it doesn't have any ranged, right?
Yeah.
For Japan, you know, you don't necessarily want to be making archer ranges in feudal because what do you get? Yumis?
This is where you got to do it. This is where you get, like, as counterintuitive as it is, you got to go Yumi archers here. If you don't go Yumi archers, you're potentially just like gonna lose straight up just to the Desert Raiders, to Camel Lancers. It's very counterintuitive for Japan. We see a couple of players do it, like go for Yumi archers. I think B definitely has to go for it as well. It's just too needed here in this kind of matchup.
I think my question for you, Crackety, is how viable do you think Onimusha are as Japan in Castle Age? Because you got to be thinking about with in Castle Age for the Ayubids, you got to be thinking about what gives their power spike. What units do they want to make that could steamroll a game? And the first one that I think is Camel Lancer. Obviously, a lot of people like going Camel Lancer, right? The second one, you could have the ability to go Gulam. Both of them are heavy units. Both of them can get kited. What do you think about Onimusha here?
Onimusha probably still doesn't work too well here, mainly because it's a cavalry unit, so it is getting affected by that cavalry debuff, so they do 20% less damage there. That's going to hurt them a lot. Overall, they're also more expensive, and Ayubids, we do see them go a lot for a composition of like Camel Lancers and on top of that archers as well. It's going to be tough to really get that mass of Onimushas going and like get them into a spot where they can really do well against like a mass of archers as well. So I think the Yumi archers probably needs to be there. We're probably going to have to see some Yumi archers, samurai, maybe mounted samurai composition. Potentially a couple of Onimushas early on if there's like immediate Gulams and like if there's a little bit of a window where you're mostly fighting against armored units. But long term, I don't see Onimushas in this matchup. Instead, I think Yumi archers, you need maybe a little bit of siege there, a little bit of counter siege at the very least to deal with manganiques. And then Samurai, potentially a couple of Honorable Geishas exclusively for raids. I don't think you can really use them in fights there. And I think that's going to have to be the game plan, but it's so counterintuitive to what Japan usually does, which is why I think this is going to be a very tough matchup for Japan.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Because what's really frustrating about playing the civs like Abbasid and playing the civs like Ayubids is the units that, especially for a civ like Japan, the units that you want to make, things like Mounted Samurai, or units that you want to make like something in the Knight department or the Horseman department, you get that camel on ease, and it kind of makes you sick to your stomach a little bit because you want to make those units, but you can't, right? So they have to be thinking a little outside the box. That's why I understand for where the Yumi play, makes a lot of sense. It just feels like with the Yumi, yeah, on their own, they're not that great, right? But you do things like make sure you get all of your upgrades, you're getting Steeled Arrow, you're getting your Bannerman, you're getting all of those things. And then all of a sudden, they become decent archers because that Bannerman adds with that +1, right? And then you can mask them better than other archers because they're cheaper. So let's see if B has the capability of doing that against the Ayubids on bridges. We're heading into a pivotal game number 5. We have LoueMT playing as the Ayubids, spawning on the western side, playing as the color green. B is going to be the Japanese on the eastern side, playing as the color orange. And let's take a look, Crackedy, now that we're watching these scouts gather sheep and we're kind of going up into a feudal age. Let's take a look at this map. Let's orient our audience, Crackedy, if you don't mind, to bridges and what it kind of looks like.
Okay, I'm looking at the map right now, and I'm seeing that the berry bushes here for Japan, they spawned really, really nicely. One towards like the back-ish side, another one to the side. The most important thing is that the biggest berry spot, like the one where you actually get 8 berry patches, is right in the corner. That's super safe. You can do one wall to that wood line there, and you get 2 berry patches and the deer completely safe behind one wall. Super good when it comes to food spawn here for B. On the opposite side, Louis, he's got his berries forward. He's got his gold somewhat exposed towards the bridge there. The other golds are also forward next to each other, is what Gus pointing out. And also has some good food sources. Also a very large berry spot there in the corner. So for the Ayubids, good food source. Wolof isn't going to be as easy for him just because his wood lines are in the back.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, what's nice with those wood lines is, yeah, they're in the back, so it makes sure your wood is a little bit safer, but I definitely could see that with the food source. But the really important thing, now that Louis is getting up with his House of Wisdom, let's talk about bridges, shall we? Let's take a look at one of those bridges, huh? You see,
How much
they
health
do
does a
have
bridge
a
have?
health bar. They have 500 health, Crackety. 50 ranged armor, so you really got to take some torches to it. It has a little bit of burned armor as well. It has 5 burn armor, so torches don't take it down too easily. And with those bridges, as you go across those bridges, you got a relic on each side, you got a sacred site on each side, so there's going to be a little bit of, if they want to go for something like a sacred site victory, along with that gold, as Vodka's pointing out on the northern side of the map, there's going to be a little bit of play/counterplay to, when do I burn these bridges? When do I do this kind of stuff if I want to achieve something like a sacred sites victory, something that the Ayubids could have a potential to do because they want to get dervishes out, they want to get relics. Japanese, no stranger to that as well, getting those Shinto priests right out the gate.
Exactly. But Tim, you mentioned the bridges. What happens when the units are on the bridge and gets destroyed? Have you seen that before? Do the units have they made sure to get their swimmer's badge? Do they swim upon the shore?
Well, I do know, Crackedy, that each unit does not have its own set of water wingies.
Ah, that's unfortunate, especially if you have heavy armor. Yeah, every single unit that's on one of these bridges, once it gets destroyed, goes down. I believe it only takes 2 demo ships as well. Now there aren't any fish in these like little rivers that we have there, but you can still dock and you can make demo ships. And 2 demo ships is all it takes, I believe, in order to completely destroy one of these bridges.
Yeah, that could be. I hope we see something like that, right? I hope we see a bunch of those units just on that bridge, and then all of a sudden it goes down, and then you can't get your units back over to that side without repairing it, right? I think that would be very interesting, and definitely quite the switch in terms of game state. Now, 3DB does go up with the Cura Storehouse, accurately so, with a very good time, and we're seeing him actually go to a little bit more wood than usual. I know for some fast castle builds, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Japanese fast casual builds, but usually 6 on wood seems like a lot.
6 on wood at this point in time, I guess he might want to get an outpost up on his gold. He definitely is going to need one because as soon as Feudal Age comes in for Louis, he's going to be getting that Desert Raider out. And if that Desert Raider is out and you don't have an outpost on your gold, then suddenly you're going to be you're going to have to open up a big one of worms there when it comes to like, okay, how do I react to this? Do I have to make a production building? It takes time to get the production building out. Honestly, it's just such a big delay, you can't really afford it. So an outpost on gold is probably going to be mandatory here for B.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to have to. What's nice is, I mean, that goal isn't necessarily right up in front, right? So it doesn't mean those Desert Raiders are right there, but they will be able to go around it. And with the berries there, too, it could create a little bit of nuisance for him. And you see LoueMT does go with that military wing. You can see that Desert Raider moving across the map. And I'll tell you what, Ayyubids, I don't know about you, Crackedy, but Ayyubids are some of my favorite civilizations to play just because of how many ways you can use camels. It's such a good variant from the Abbasid dynasty.
Yeah, they would be. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! We're seeing not an outpost. Instead, it's gonna be a barracks, and we're seeing Honor Bugatia, the worst unit to make against Desert Raiders in the situation. Any other unit would be better to make. This is gonna hurt. The second B finds out, like, oh wait, Honor Bugatia versus Desert Raider. That doesn't compute well. And Louis, he's actually making production buildings. He's making Desert Raiders out of production buildings. Look at that. Look at that matchup. Oh my god. The Honor Bugatia is getting trashed.
As soon as he saw that, he's probably like, what, do my Bugatia have toothpicks? What the hell's going on here? It adds a second one, being like, hey, you know, maybe 2's better. But I don't think, yeah, that's not doing anything. Oh my god. Now, what does B have to transition to? Now he starts making spearmen, right? But the Desert Raider could just kite it.
Yeah, and Louis making the Desert Raider out of archery ranges. He's making archers after this.
Oh my gosh, this is this is a mess. We talked about, you know, I think B has that mindset when playing as the Japanese, being like, yeah, I don't think Yumi exist either. I don't think I'm gonna make them. Because everybody talks about how bad they are, right? So now B, he's trying to salvage a little bit of, you know, a resource that he's getting out of the Onabugisha. Might be able to try to raid on the opposite side of the map, but if Louis is smart, he does look at this base right now. Look at how compact this base is. You know, he doesn't have an outpost by his gold, which I think is kind of okay because of how close it is.
Oh, we're seeing the archer range come in though for B. So some Yumi archers finally should be coming in here. That's definitely much needed here. But you need a big mass because Louis, he's already on double archery ranges, just spamming out these archers. B only just got his first archery range up. Now the Yumi archers, they're actually really cheap. They're really cheap. And they also, I think, produce a little bit quicker compared to normal archers. However, they do less damage and they are faster. It's still difficult. Like, you gotta get a big mass of them going in order to take down the Desert Raiders. Steeled Arrow looks to be going through. Villagers are getting pulled in order to repair that forge. That was pretty close. Upgrade is going to be coming through now for B on that side. At the same time, Louis also getting his blacksmith upgrades in. Eco upgrades following. And Bugatias look to just be camping there in the corner on the berries. So at any one point in time, if Louis runs out, the Honor Bugatias are going to be on that side.
I mean, based on this matchup and the units that Louis is making, those probably the best case scenario you could do with your Onabugisha. Having them in battle is probably just a waste of time, right? But to talk about the Yumi, and you talked about them being cheaper. If I remember correctly, Vodka, if you can click on one of the archery ranges, I think they're 30 food and 35 wood. So being able to take a look at that, let's see here. Yeah, they are 30, 35, and 13 seconds. So you're exactly right, Crackedy. They pump out a little bit quicker. He's got Steeled Arrow, so it's going to be 4+1. If B ends up getting the Damio, which is going to be not in the close future, but getting that extra +1, then they'll have the damage of what a quote-unquote normal archer would have with that one. So hopefully he'll be able to mass up in time, but Louis, making sure that he doesn't, right? He's not only getting a bunch of these units, going Ayyubid Feudal Age with some archers, with some Desert Raiders, but he's trying to take them to Ram Ranch, baby.
Yeah. He's also getting some horsemen out. Horsemen, which will do less damage because of that camel on east. We're also seeing some Feudal Age Samurai now in Q4B. He He's throwing spaghetti at the fridge and sees what sticks.
I didn't think I was going to hear that analogy today, but here we are. And it looks like that Ram going for that archery range first in Crackedy, which is a really good idea. He has a secondary archery range in the back. And even though they're 13 seconds a pop, I don't know if he's going to mass up in time. Looks like Spearmen are over here. Feels like the Spearmen, just based on the archers and the Desert Raiders, that seems like wasted resources too.
Yeah, Horseman tries to like catch some of these reinforcements, but there's a Desert Raider as well. And the Desert Raider is just making sure that these horsemen, not only is the Desert Raider killing the horsemen, but also, because of that camel on east, it actually takes one more hit to kill these archers compared to normal.
And that's a big difference, right? That means more Desert Raider hits on them. That means you going after reinforcements and stopping this Ayubid death ball from happening is a little less advantageous for you to do. And those horsemen, even though we talk about, you know, things like the Yumi being cheap and the Spearmen being cheap, horsemen are 100 food. You know, you can't just be throwing them away rather frivolously. You lose 2 or 3 horsemen, that's 200 or 300 food you could spend somewhere else. So you got to make sure that you're getting some, you know, you're getting at least a decent amount of damage. Louis doubling his ram count at this point, adding a second ram. 1 archery range went down, so it's doing well in terms of disrupting B. And now for B, I mean, he's making units, but he's still down in military. It's 3125, and I wouldn't say all of his units are entirely efficacious.
Yeah, more production buildings going up now behind his TC. Louis is just going for the next archery range. One of the rams is going down, has taken a lot of damage so far. Finally has taken enough to go down. Military count is close. Louis does have a slight lead there, but when it comes to the quality, it's just Desert Raiders and archers. I feel way better about the army from Louis right now than I do about the army from B, especially since he doesn't have the daimyo. So all of these Yumi archers right now, they're not really doing too hot here. A little clash comes in. Ram is getting taken down. But Horseman goes down for it and Archer goes down for it. In the end, I mean, the Ram did fine and Louis just has the option to drop another one. There we go. Another Ram is going down.
Yeah, I mean, you spent a decent amount of wood trying to get those Rams down, but I think this disruption that he's doing to this Japanese province, no matter what side he's going for, he attacked from the western side, now he's going up to the northern side. I think we're going to see those food resources from B, because those Kira storehouse, yeah, they produce a decent amount of farms, but you might need to get food somewhere else. Those sheep are going to run out. Having those backwood spawns, and there's exactly, oh my god, Crackedy, I'm so good at this. He goes to a farmhouse and then gets that deer pack all the way in the back, could be a potential raiding target.
Yeah. Infantry unit is in the TC, so a couple of bonus arrow fires onto that Ram. Means that the Ram, I mean, the health has been nerfed in the past, so Ram actually takes a significant amount of damage there. Now Horseman could potentially intercept the reinforcements here if B pays attention. If he pays attention! Oh, he didn't see them! Scout is there. Now the Desert Raiders are coming in there as well. Oh no. That hurts. Like, just looking at that matchup between Onabegacious and Desert Raider, it's so sad. It's so sad.
I can feel you cringing as we're watching this happen. The Desert Raider probably gets, I don't know, has about a third of its health, maybe 40% health, while having a 2-to-1 deficit. That's pretty huge. But at least B knows that the Ayubids are going out there, right? So maybe he sends those horsemen in that particular direction, because the units that he's making, if he wants to keep making Desert Raiders, if he is making them instead of just letting them come out of the House of Wisdom, they take a decent amount of food. What's nice is the archers that he has doesn't take that much food. So is this going to slow his military production? Probably not. The only way it's going to slow his military production is if Louis stops making military units, and he's going up.
Yeah. 800 food, 800 golden back. Louis, he's thinking about Castle H now. And these horsemen, oh, they're getting pinched. They're getting pinched, and yeah, okay, they got to go up the top side. Might actually get done Archer, but yeah, now they have to run away. Okay, B actually manages to get out there fairly well, fairly easily. A little wall comes in there from Louis. Not sure if B is able to spot that. Now the economic ring growth is coming in, and with that, I mean, Louis, as soon as he gets up, he's gonna get 8 villagers, and this was also so smart from him. He didn't touch the berries, the other berries, at all yet. Now, sure, he did exhaust his first berry batch, but other than that, he didn't touch the berries at all, so he's gonna get a lot of additional food from that Castle Age bonus there.
Yeah, and it means having villagers on that real far back berry patch. You might go for the ones near the deer first just because of walking time, but it makes it not only better to get, but you know, your villagers are going to be a little bit safer throughout this entire process, and horsemen are going to be trying to take down those desert raiders once again. I think B is smelling a little bit of castle age to happen because he's thinking, well, I'm not getting attacked, I'm not getting all in, I'm not getting rammed, so something must be going on. He's got his Yumis out, we'll be able to take some good hits, take down a couple desert raiders, but now he's trying to push to make sure Louis doesn't get that ever popular Iabid bonus of those 8 extra villagers, which is a huge deal.
B doesn't decide to push through that wall there on the bridge. Now the Yumi archers, there are a lot of them out there, and they are quite fast. 1.38 tiles of movement speed, so this is a very mobile army here. So B, in theory, he can decide where to fight and where not to fight. He's also got the Yumi bannermen in there now as well. So all of these archers, they're real archers now. They don't just fire like some little plastic toys there. These are actual wooden bolts that are coming out. Trading off against the archers, though, I'm not sure how good that is going to be for him. Now, sure, it's going to be before the upgrade comes in. Lose bannerman, which is unfortunate. The aura still remains, though, for a little bit longer. It's going to be able to take care of the Desert Raider. I guess before the Castle Age comes in, this is probably the best time right now for him to trade out his army, at the very least.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the issue with the Yumi that we're seeing. The banner, now that the bannerman is dead, the banner stays there. Right, so now half these Yumi are doing okay. They're shooting normal archers. The other ones got their plastic toys back. Right, so a lot of them end up going down. We have an archer count where I think where you're supposed to have the advantage in Yumi is the amount that you have compared to the archers on the other side. But take a look at the archers on the other side, Crackedy. It's 33 to 27. Now, Louis got a technological advantage, so he can wait, get that veteran upgrade. Those Yumis are dead.
Yeah. And he is in the golden age tier 2, so he's getting his upgrades a lot faster. Not exactly 50% faster, but still a lot quicker. I think it only takes like 1 minute or maybe even less, like 40 seconds for the veterancy to come in, and is coming in. Still good trade-off here for now for B. But the issue is going to be the Camel Lancers that are coming out now as well. 3 stables means that 3 Camel Lancers pop out immediately here on the Yumi archers, and the veterancy has come through B. He's going to lose his entire military force here.
Yeah, because what does he do against these Camel Lancers, right? One goes down, he might have a couple Spearmen in there, but that's pretty much it. He had 2 in the duration of that battle. Samurai aren't going to do that much, you know, so they're going to be taking a lot of Yumi archer fire. These Yumi are trying to get on those archers, but they're veteran archers. They have 7 base damage, so they're going to be able to carve through the Samurai too. And he does have Defender's advantage. You wait for a couple more Camel Lancers to pop out, and then everything gets clean.
Yeah, more Camel Lancers are coming out now as well. 3 more in queue. The Yumi archers also are dropping now when it comes to numbers. B is getting close to his own castle age, and there is still some distance between them, so B should get a timing in to be able to go up. But the 8 villager count, well, yeah, the 8 villager advantage right now that Louis has, it's gonna hurt for B. Now, sure, he is still playing as a Japanese. I believe this is the 2nd upgrade right now that he's getting on his main TC. So his farms are gonna be working 50% more efficient. Yeah, it is the 2nd one. But actually, he's reinvesting into units right now. The way this looks right now, like, Castle Age gets further and further away from him. It's still gonna take a little bit. He hasn't clicked it yet, and that means that he's gonna be vulnerable to these Camel Lancers.
Yeah, and it's such a rough spot for B, and I know for all the players out there watching, you've probably been in a similar situation where you feel like you lose if you don't make units because you're gonna get steamrolled by the units on the other side. But if you don't go castle, then you're not going to have units that are good enough. So you're in this catch-22 where you feel in such a bad spot. You feel like you kind of lose no matter what. And B, he's going to be going up to castle. He's going to be getting the floating gate. But again, that's 1,800 resources you didn't spend on units. You put towards that building. And it's going to take a while for that building to actually get completed. It takes a while for upgrades to happen. So as soon as Louis sees that B hits castle age, or maybe even before it, he just ships it.
Yeah. And floating gate, it is getting close to finishing up, but this is also the time where Louis decides to go for the engagement. Archers, they're moving up a little bit too far. They're in TC range, so TC should get some great shots on them. Single Camel Lancer is running through, though. Spearmen evaporate in the blink of an eye. Age up is going to be coming in. Priest is dropping it in the archery range. So Yoshiro is in the archery range. No upgrades queued yet. Doesn't actually have the golden on to queue any upgrades. A couple samurais are going to be in queue. TC, 2nd Daimyo, is doing some damage here, but the +2 Pierce Armor has already come in for Louis, and Louis, he's just flooding B's base right now. with these Camel Lancer with 6 armor, it's so difficult to take them down. Villagers are going down. The archers are just chasing them down. Mameluke's aura has also come in. So every time these archers kill a unit, they're then getting a buff to do more damage after that. And the villagers, they're just running. The TC is already full. No villagers can seek shelter in there. And the reinforcements are coming in as well. And B has to say goodbye to his economy. And with that, we're probably going to be looking at a 3-2 for Louis in this best of 7 now.
Man, those those Campbell Lancers, I mean, yeah, they're getting the runaround from a lot of these villagers, but villagers aren't doing anything, right? I think B was trying to get up, and one of his saving graces might have been the Shogunate Palace, right? Because he had a lot of villagers on stone. Maybe he was trying to get that 1,200. But again, if you're trying to get 1,200 stone, that means you're not sending villagers to get other resources to actually make a unit, right? So, yeah, the Shogunate can help you. But at the same time, if you have a mass of units, Castle Age units around your town center, is the Shogunate even worth it?
Yeah, the issue is that B, he didn't hold the front side between the 2 wood lines. If he did that, he could have bought himself a valuable, like, 1 to 2 minutes there in order to be able to go up to Castle Age. With that, though, Louis is going to be able to close the game out. And yeah, we're going to be looking at a 3-2 now after a redraft.
Man. And this was, I mean, obviously, for the IBID, Civ helps you out a little bit. You can see where that +8 hit in Castle Age, right? That little bit of economic bonus really, really helps you out. And then being able to run into that Japanese base, because, I mean, for B, I saw a lot of people in chat saying, yeah, that fight didn't go too bad for B. But the thing of it is it had to be overwhelmingly, convincingly in B's favor for him to have a chance in that game. So while he was using feudal age units, Louis had defender's advantage using some Camel Lancers. You could see that military count at the end of that fight. They were pretty much even. And as long as Louis was able to continue to make military in the Castle Age form, B still had to go up, didn't have the resources to continue to produce units. All of a sudden, your villagers are gone.
Yeah. That's the rough part there. I mean, B, he very quickly realized that, oh, wait, this matchup is really, really rough. We saw the Unabagacious come out, see the Desert Raider, try to take a fight, notice, oh, wait, I only do 1 damage with every single attack. Huh, this doesn't look too good. Back off again, and oh my god, like, this was this was really tough. I don't think B actually, like, realized how tough that matchup was, but speak about a tough matchup now. We're going to be looking at Jean versus Deli on Rocky Canyon. Tim, I'm personally, like, unsure every time I see this matchup. Like, sometimes it looks super well for Jean. The other times it's like, oh wow, Deli, they picked off Jean. Now this suddenly looks really, really good for Deli. It is very, like, one side. I think it's very skill dependent, I want to say. Like, if Jean survives, it's really good for Jean. If she gets picked off, if she gets sniped, then it's really, really bad for Jean and really good for Deli instead. Deli is a really good civilization at the moment. I think it's number 1 when it comes to win rate, next to OTD, where we only have like 3 games in the entire tournament so far from them, and then Byzantines, which also had some fairly interesting matchups where they got picked so far. So it's number 2 right now, if we discount OTD at the moment. It has by far one of the best win rates. I think maybe even after the initial game that we had between Delhi and Malians, maybe it's even at number 1 spot right now.
Yeah, and I think it's just because it's a good picture of what the meta is. You know, you're seeing a lot of feudal aggression in the meta. Delhi's one of the best to do it. However, there's one civilization that I know this used to be like this before Jeanne d'Arc nerfs. It used to be where, you know, Delhi kind of has to fight in feudal to get its sacred sites, to get map control and stuff. And you're just playing into Jeanne d'Arc's hands, you know? So you could just get her to level 3 quicker. But you're exactly right. If you have the ability to snipe her before those big battles take place, you don't get that positive EV or expected value that Jeanne d'Arc's XP gives you. And then all of a sudden, Delhi ends up taking the sacred sites, ends up taking the game because Jean can't consecrate and do all of these things. But enough talk. Okay, we're going to see a pivotal game 6. Remember, this is match point for Louis, playing as the color green, playing as Jeanne d'Arc, spawning on the northwestern, or the northern tip, I should say, side of this map. B playing as Delhi Sultanate in the color orange, spawning on the southern end of this rocky canyon. And, you know, we talked about this matchup just a little bit. I think for Jeanne d'Arc, what's really important is I think they can get up and go a little bit quicker than Delhi can. You know, because John gets the School of Cavalry, they're able to pump knights out pretty much as soon as they hit feudal age. Where Delhi Sultanate, they need wood, they need to get the building, they need to put a scholar in it if they want to efficiently produce, and then they need to make units afterwards. So I really feel like there's this pivotal moment for Jeanne d'Arc, especially for those first 1 or 2 nights, where they could do a decent amount of damage.
I want to say, while we still have a minute roughly of gambling going on, you still have a minute to put your bets in. Louis is probably, like, by far one of the, if not the best Jeanne d'Arc player out there at the moment. Like, by far. I think the only one player that is on his level when it comes to Jeanne d'Arc play currently in the meta is CSO. CSO and Louis, they just play Jeanne d'Arc to perfection. So, you know, put your bets in wisely. And while you're betting on Louis, let me just say that B is also one of the best Delhi players out there. So, you got a matchup on your hands here where, like, we got 2 of the best players with the respective civilizations facing off against each other.
That was a good bait. You got me. I was about to start putting points on Louis. And I'm casting.
You should. You should.
No, I see the points. There's got about 1.1 mil of those EGC points on Louis. And rest assured, those points, actually, nah, they might be taken from you. Because we'll see if Delhi has the ability to snipe John. That's what it's all about. You know, when John's on the battlefield, she does a really good job at, making sure her units are healed with Divine Restoration. She's making sure you're getting the economic bonus with Consecrate. But if you're able to take her out very quickly, it means all of those cooldowns and all of those charges end up sitting there, right? I really like what Louis is doing with this build with School of Cavalry too. He's got Jeanne on it, which she builds at 33% faster than a villager as well. And having 2 villagers with it, which means that School of Cavalry is going to get up super, super quick. And that means that knight is going to come out just as fast.
Yeah. Something that I really like to do as a caster specifically is hype up one player for the bets and then bet on the other one.
Oh, so you rig it, is what you're telling me.
No, so that way I can say, like, if I lose my bet, I can say, like, see, told you guys, this guy is OP, man. Like, he's got, like, you guys got all your points there because of me. But if he loses, I can say, yeah, but actually, I personally bet on the other guy, so, like, I knew something that you guys didn't in the end.
I think that's stereotypical insider trading. I think somebody
Oh, no, I'm not rigging it. I'm not rigging it directly.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm rigging the odds. I'm not actually rigging the game, so that's fine, right? That's fine.
Right. I think that's okay. That's probably fine. Right, chat? Put a 1 in chat if you think it's fine. Let's see all the 2s. Now, with B going to be going up with the Tower of Victory as well, which is obviously oh, there are all the 2s. Fantastic. The Tower of Victory coming up with 4 villagers, and it just means that you're going to be able to snipe Jeanne even better, right? Those archers shoot a little bit faster. You have your spearmen that are going to work a little bit better against those road knights from Jeanne d'Arc. So I know a lot of the times without Jeanne d'Arc, say you pull her from the situation and you have French versus Delhi, would you usually pick Delhi in that situation?
I would try to avoid playing against Jeanne.
Right.
As best as possible. Is all I'm gonna say to that.
Okay.
That's fair. Playing against Jeanne it's such a weird dynamic having to play with Jeanne, because for one, like, you play an aggressive civilization against Delhi, you wanna take fights, you wanna like get a lot of units out. At the same time, you don't want to feed experience to Jeanne, because if she gets to level 3, then suddenly it's gonna be very difficult for you to win that game. It's just I'm just gonna say it, it's a toxic way to play against her. Like, it's a very toxic matchup no matter what you play. And I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of that. But if there's a civilization that can do it, it probably is Delhi, right? Like, they get the best horsemen in the game, they get the Ghazi Raiders, they get free upgrades, so the economy is good as well. They can play on that 1 TC. Yeah, I think, like, Delhi probably has to be the best matchup there for Jeanne to take it. We talked about it. It all comes down to if you're actually able to, like, snipe Jeanne. Speaking of sniping Jeanne, we got ranged Jeanne here, so bonus damage from horsemen is definitely gonna help there.
Yeah, the snipey becomes the sniper, huh? With Jeanne d'Arc getting that nice little bow there. I think for the archer, what makes it a little bit better is, yeah, she kind of gets bonus damage from Gazi no matter what, right? Because if she went for the melee, she'd still get the +2 against her, as Gazi Raiders have against those heavy units, which obviously isn't as
What do
much.
you rather want? Do you want +2 but get more health, or do you want to get like +8 and less health as well?
See,
Um,
but I think this is the reason why Louis went for it. Your math is very sound, Crackedy. I'm going to give you that. You're presenting a very good
Oh, I
argument.
know what it's about. He wants to bait me into making more horsemen. So then he goes only knights, and I'm immediately getting yeah, never mind. Immediately I see double archer range, so it's not gonna be just the only knight play here.
I think it's more so because when you get into those big battles, as Jean being a hunter, it means she's not in the thick of everything, and she might not be able to go down as quickly because she's not on the front line. So maybe
That's
Louis
true.
trying to go for that route, maybe gets a little bit more XP that way, because you know when you're fighting against Jeanne d'Arc, because you talked about it, you have to not only convincingly win fights, but do it so convincingly where the XP from Jeanne d'Arc that you gave her is less than the fight that you won in terms of resources. It's basically just expected value, right? You
Yeah.
might have helped her get to level 3, but if you want to fight so convincingly, it doesn't matter.
We're not seeing any spearmen coming out yet. Meanwhile, B, he's just going full on the Ghazi Raider train. Needs to be careful though against these charges from the knights. They do a lot of damage. More knights are in queue once again. Villagers have to move back for a moment there. It's like you really have to respect these knights. And it's difficult going only Ghazi Raiders, but there is a big ball of Ghazi Raiders actually out there that could potentially like take down these knights.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, those Ghazi Raiders, they do that little bit of damage, right? But they also, I mean, they have a decent amount of health, right? They can't just get picked off at a moment's notice. So if you're able to get a lot of them, you're able to pick off some of these reinforcements, as you see those Ghazi Raiders are doing. LoueMT, I'm pretty sure, does not have chivalry yet in this game. So having that ability will give him the opportunity maybe to deal with some knights that aren't exactly at full health. That Divine Restoration isn't as powerful because of that. You're already taking 30% off, so maybe that could be helpful. Kind of curious, though, because Louis sees a lot of these Ghazi Raiders out here, right? You see 10. Might be thinking about adding Spearmen, and I know for a French/Jeanne d'Arc player, you don't necessarily want to add barracks, but it really could help you here.
I think actually that Jean is probably one of the best civilization to add Spearmen with because of the consecration. You're getting some insane value out of those spears every time that you build them, especially early on. They cost mostly food, so you're getting like a big discount there on them. Knights, once again, try to harass the wood line potentially, not finding the damage there. And now it looks like B is going to be in a position to finally start capturing one of the first sacred sites here.
Yeah, what's nice for the deli on this map is the first sacred site is kind of relatively easy to get. We're going to see some of those knights doing a little back and forth, trying to make sure that Scholar doesn't get the sacred site in as much time. But the Ghazi Raiders, they have an increased amount of speed compared to those knights, and there's a lot of them out here. We could lose a couple knights here, Louis. He might have overextended.
Scout should go down, indeed he does. Knights also have to run for their lives. B, he's trying to get ahead of them. Oh, stops just short of them. Once again, tries to go for the surround. Surround comes in, and that should at least be one knight going down there.
And you might not think that's a big deal, but those knights are so expensive, man. They're 240 total resources. Now Jeanne d'Arc is quite upset that one of those royal knights end up coming down, and she will resume her hunter status. Might be able to try to use that divine arrow to take down maybe a spearman or two. Archer's doing a good job taking hits. You saw that divine arrow come out. Such a satisfying thing when you're able to actually snipe a unit. These are nice little +8s. You know, every little nickel and dime for Jeanne d'Arc helps her get to that 500, gets to level 3. So you don't hate it.
He's moving out on the map there with a lot of villagers. Might want to secure some of the berries here, but it's very difficult, especially if the army value is so close to each other. But you got knights on one side and Ghazi Raiders on the other. Like, the knights really do make a big difference. You need probably like 3 Ghazi Raiders for every one single knight in order to take a beneficial trade there. But then there's also the variable of pathing coming in there as well. it's really, really quite dangerous. I think B right now, he probably needs like at least 20 Gazi Raiders if he wants to take a fight there.
Yeah, and plus, you talk about a lot of times with knights against spearmen. You think about, well, spearmen, you need kind of like 2 to 1 to be relatively safe. Obviously, B doesn't have that, but the Gazi Raiders are trying to help him out. But for Louis, how many archers he has, it kind of just makes the spearman null and void, don't you think?
Yeah, he needs a lot more, he needs a lot more spearmen, because the archers, they can just take them down really, really quickly. You need a lot of spearmen, and I think he probably needs like at least like 20 spearmen as well. Like it's actually insane how many spears you need because the archers can just take them down so quickly. The spearmen for Delhi are quite nice though because they do also benefit from that Tower of Victory buff. So you get a lot of attack speed on them as well. Looks like B is trying to get a raid and a single knight actually makes it through. I don't think there's an outpost on the berries that he has there. Knights. Oh, the Gazi Raiders getting a good amount of picks there though. On the berries, actually the villager are getting pinched in as well. Oh no, they get out. They got out somehow. But at least one more is going down. That's 4 villagers that just went down there. At the same time though, a little fight is happening there. One villager did go down for B behind that. B managed to run away with most of them. Oh my god, the Gazi Raiders actually pinched there. The archers, they shouldn't be able to win this fight, but because of the choke point there, they're actually getting a really, really good trade in. A lot of the Gazi Raiders just went down.
Well, remember, you
Jean
have the
also
choke point.
getting killed.
You have the choke point in the town center helping you out too. John ends up
Yeah.
staying alive, just like you said. A lot of plus 14s coming out there, and that's a lot of Gazi Raiders and resources that B would rather spend somewhere else. Now he does have his 20 spearmen count, like you said before, Crackedy, but there's no Gazi Raiders anymore. Louis could just continue to push this with archers, and that's what he does. The spearmen have to back up.
Oh, the spearmen, they're actually they're getting the charge off, and that should be at least 1-2 more knights going down. That is okay. That was actually a better trade than could have potentially been for B. But I'm fearful of Jean level 3 coming in sooner rather than later. Like usually without fighting, she gets it at like 18, 19 minutes into the game. With the fights that have gone on here so far, she might be getting it at like minute 14, 13 and a half even.
Yeah, especially, I mean, this fight. Oh, she just hit level 3. She got a horse, and now she's
She
down.
goes down immediately. But the units are out.
God.
The men-at-arms are out, and the spearmen, they're stuck on them. The spearmen are stuck. Okay, now they're moving forward against the knights. Definitely need to move forward against the knights. So disgusting. This unit is so disgusting. These men-at-arms from Jean do bonus damage versus spearmen. What's the one unit you want to make against a French civilization? It's the spearmen, and they do bonus damage against them.
Oh,
Gazi Raiders, at least, clean up the remainder of the knights here. This isn't a bad trade in the end for B. He's got the military advantage. Jean did go down. She hasn't been bought back yet. I think Louis actually needs to buy her back.
And the thing is, Crackedy, because she's level 3, as you see those Gazi Raiders, and now it looks like a little bit of archers B is trying to use. Because John hit level 3 right before she died, it's not 250 gold, it's 500. And at a time, 14 minutes into the game, does a Jeanne d'Arc Civ or a French-style civilization want to spend 500 gold right now? The answer is hell no.
Yeah, I think Jean is in a horrible situation right now. Barely any units left on the field. Delhi just took a great fight there. You can't really afford to buy Jean back. Actually, you could with the amount of gold you have, but then you're really far away from Castle Age. Instead, it looks like Louis just wants to wait. An issue is, though, while she's dead, or correct me if I'm wrong, but while she's dead, her cooldowns don't advance. They don't recover.
You're
so
correct.
she just used her ability. So it's going to be like an additional, 4 minutes until the ability, starts coming back online.
Yeah, because those, like you talked about, how difficult it is to deal with Jean's champions, especially in feudal age, and especially when you're the Delhi Sultanate, right? So having the ability to get that recharge going every single time is so important for Jeanne d'Arc, and it means you can convincingly take battles and make sure that B doesn't get these sacred sites. But now, look at military count, 36 to 14. B finally has a little bit of free reign over that middle sacred site. He's going to be using a scholar to try to get that. Sacred site on the north is walled off, but 2 sacred sites might be enough, and there she is. There's the mounted archer, Jeanne d'Arc, going to be able to hit the battlefield once more. Now with her abilities here, her ability maybe to get Divine Restoration as a scholar, a couple Gazi Raiders go down. As long as she exists, as long as she survives, she's going to be doing well in most of these games. But again, we foreshadowed this in the beginning. It's about if she gets sniped or not. And this is the pivotal time.
I mean, B right now, he's doing a great job of just keeping like idle time on the deer there as well. Louis kind of struggling for food. B has like 50% more food income right now compared to Louis. Knights do manage to squeeze by. There's an outpost on the deer, but I think B has more villagers there than fit inside that outpost. Yeah, by a long shot. And yeah, these villagers, B has to react immediately. He's gonna lose villagers. He's gonna lose a lot of villagers. They're all jumping in the outpost. Some are jumping in, but now a lot of villagers are going down. They're not moving right now. B suddenly losing a lot of villagers.
And that's so huge, too. We talk about Delhi not wanting to do things like farms and make a farm transition because of how many units they got to pump out. But now Jean, a little bit in harm's way here. She only has about 5 Knights. Spearmen trying to catch up. They're sprinting, running for their lives. The Ghazi Raiders are going to be the only thing to do it on the western side. B trying to get a little Ghazi Raider raid. And it looks like it's not going to be going very well. Look what these Spearmen are doing. They're trying to cut them off. Crackedy, they're trying to cut off this mounted archer. But those Knights, and now that Jean's got a horse, she's just too quick for that.
Yeah, there's a gate in that wall as well. Yeah, and the wall off is gonna finish up. Ghazi Raiders are trying to block. And Jean, she's getting separated.
Oh, no. But now, she
and
does
the Ghazi
take...
Raider reinforced the Ghazi Raiders from earlier. They're over there.
No.
They're on the other hand side. They're doing bonus damage to Jean. She's going down really quickly.
And she doesn't have the speed. The Ghazi Raiders are too quick. She's dead again. That's gonna... Oh, Divine Restoration with the save, but it doesn't matter. It just delays the inevitable. Oh, my God. My heart can't take this, Crackedy.
Yeah, Jean dead once again. Louis, though, he's getting up to a significant amount of Knights right now. 14 Knights out of the field compared to 24 Spearmen. Still, Spearman count is really nice. So B definitely has enough of them right now. He's kind of letting the Sacred Side in the middle get decapped once again. Not looking for a Castle Age from the looks of it. It looks like he's just investing everything right now into... Louis, he sold resource in order to get John back up. But it looks like B, he's just fully committing right now into that Feudal Age.
See, I really like Louis' mentality and thinking, hey, I would do anything for that woman. And Louis, I agree. You know, with the mounted archer and having the ability to get that cooldown to get John's champions could make or break your battle. And getting XP while she's taking these fights, because remember, we're 18 minutes in the game. No player is in signs of going to Castle Age. So, for all intents and purposes, this looks like a feudal game for the foreseeable future. Jean getting this XP, remember, getting to level 4, it's a big jump. Instead of 500, it's 1,500 to take this down. Get enough feudal fights, maybe we see a feudal cannon.
Could potentially happen if Jean reaches that level 4 in the Feudal Age. Archers right now fighting off against each other. Louis, though, he has the upper hand when it comes to the archer numbers. Knights are just they're just dancing back and forth, but this is actually a fight that I don't think B can really win right now. The Knights are just much better at tanking up the archer fire than the Spearmen are. A couple of raids happened, though. B managing to pick off 4 additional villagers there.
See, and look at what Louis is doing with John. She's the one at the back of every single fight. She uses Divine Arrow every once in a while, but that's pretty much it. And while she's still in the back with this archer mass, she's definitely in range in getting stuff. You see that, plus 14 for the Ghazi Raider. That's really, really, really important. Going to be able to decap that middle sacred site as well. Delhi does have the military advantage, but again, I don't think they can convincingly win a fight to overcome that XP farm.
Yeah, looking at the army value right now, Louis, these Knights, they just provide so much to the army value there. And Jean, very soon, she's going to have her summoning ability back online, where she can once again summon a couple of these men-at-arms. And that's when it starts to get really, really dangerous here, because they just deal so well with these with these spearmen. Ghazi Raiders at the front line.
Archers are caught, Crackedy. Those Ghazi Raiders and those spearmen, they're going to be able to take down those archers. And now with that archer mass gone, or having the ability to get reduced, I should say, those spearmen might have free reign on the Knights. Louis can't take a fight as much as he wants to, as much as he wants to get that XP. Yeah, he's got a lot of army value because of these Knights, but there's a decent amount of spearmen, and now Knights predominantly making up the front line. John all the way in the back, making sure she's safe. You're seeing the XP getting hit, all those +8s, those +8s. Divine Restoration, that was the most clutch Divine Restoration I've ever seen. Delhi's going to get cleaned up.
Yeah, a little misclick there. The archers suddenly run into the front line. Suddenly there's no archers, there's no spearmen remaining. Still 20 knights on the field. What was that? The Ghazi Raiders are down, the spearmen are down, the archers are down. B doesn't have any more units remaining. What is that? Suddenly, the game just takes a complete 180 and B calls it's a 4-2 for Louis. That was a fight that should not have ended the way that it did, but it did end with a victory for Louis, and he's gonna take the set 4-2.
Oh my god. I, I know that I'm a caster and I'm supposed to have words. I don't have words for that. Having those archers come up and then popping that divine restoration at pretty much the same time. I know, Crackedy, I know your feelings on Jeanne d'Arc. I get it. I do. I get it.
I'm just gonna say, freaking knights, man.
But I love that woman. Okay? Her ability to turn tides, to be the hero that the French needs in that particular situation and that LoueMT needed in that particular situation, taking down that game 6, taking match point from this one. And this is not the last we're going to see of LoueMT. We're going to be seeing him going up next. I think it's against Wham, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. So that's going to be it for him today. But tomorrow, we're going to be seeing more from Louis. B, though, sadly, that's going to be it for him in the Elite Classic 2. Louis just putting up a masterclass with Jean there. It looked really dicey there at multiple points in time. But then the Knights, they're just built differently, man. They're just built differently. Can we finally talk about Knights and Feudal Age? Like, let's talk about Knights and Feudal Age. But we'll save that conversation for another time.